Anyone need some therapy? Because you're in for some. Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk. Back again with you guys and girls for another episode of what is, well, it's the Arsenal Raw reaction show, is what it is, and it's not a particularly great place this morning. I know that the mood is certainly the lowest it has been this season. Certainly the lowest it has been this season, and I empathise with so many of you that are in a horrendous mood. Probably plenty of you that are listening to this on catch up. Maybe not even today, maybe not even on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesday morning. I've put this off. Maybe you'll never listen to this. And frankly, I don't blame you. I'm not going to sit here and say do the usual YouTubey stuff because it's just not appropriate, is it? In what is a really, really rough time. Yeah, it's really, really tough. And I always start off these types of shows by saying, if you do need to take yourself away, then please do look after yourselves first and foremost. Football at the end of the day is a game. It's just a game. I know people used to really moan at people saying those words before, and no, it's a lifestyle choice. In essence, it's just a game. It's far more important things in this world than football. So please look after yourselves mentally. Please do. Just try your best to look after yourselves. Even though I know it's very, very challenging, indeed. So let's park that for those that, of course, are happy to be here and, of course, to have a chat. Usually, after a disappointing result, we do a phone-in show, and I will be opening up the phone lines to people to come on and have their say and say what they would like to and ask questions and to have questions asked of them. So we will be doing that. But I also want to start off today's show with two other key points. Actually, no, just one other key point. And that's that I feel as though the energy this morning, it mainly should be in self-reflection of sadly some of the things we saw yesterday online. Some of the comments we saw directed at players, family members of players. It was vile and disgusting, and I sincerely hope that all the support, the people that need that support and got that abuse yesterday is there. I certainly know the club were doing all they can to support those that were affected, but some absolutely horrendous scenes from so-called, they're not, but so-called Arsenal supporters. So yeah, sincerely hope the people that need that support get it. Right, let's jump though into today's slides, shall we? What a nightmare. What a absolute nightmare yesterday. Horrendous result, and certainly a low point of Mikel Arteta's tenure with the club. And yet another result in that white kit that has a brilliant message and campaign, but my goodness me, it is cursed, this kit, is it not? I sincerely hope that we stop wearing it. I hope that we do all we can to support the campaign, of course. But I can't help but think that wearing colours reminiscent of our North London rivals is having absolutely no positive impact whatsoever. So please, for all that is good in this world, can we not wear this kit again while continuing to do all we can to support what is obviously a very important campaign? So let's talk about the lineup. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly. No Calafiori. He misses out because of a muscle injury. Oh, my goodness. It's already begun. Sufyan says, are you blaming the kit? No, I'm not blaming the kit. Behave, you loser. Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis, Skelly was our back five. Jorginho, Marino and Odegaard's in midfield. I was a little surprised that Declan Rice didn't start this game, especially if Rice isn't going to start, then why Partey didn't start this game. But with a North London derby on Wednesday, I guess there was some concern, some questioning of how best to rotate the team with that game only around the corner. Martinelli, Jesus, and Havertz, the front three. It was a lineup that is more than enough to win. And of course, based on the performance that we saw, created plenty during the game as well that should have led us to a victory. But, that was not the case. That is not the outcome on the day. And the first half, obviously, Gabriel Martinelli had a goal ruled out for offside, no VAR in the stadium. And that is certainly something that I think also needs to be looked at in the FA Cup competitions. Why VAR is somehow not in play for an Arsenal against Man United game is mad to me. But the big highlight of the first half is, of course, the injury to Gabriel Jesus. I actually think that, ironically, it's a bad foul on Fernandes, and I don't know quite how we managed to get away with that. But in the resulting movements from the collision between Jesus and Fernandes, Jesus looks to have suffered a very, very serious knee injury. There's, of course, hope that that's not the case, and that instead of an ACL, which is the one that we all fear, that it could be an MCL or something less significant. But sadly, all the signs are pointing at that at the moment. We'll have to await more information and more scans and information. But yeah, man, the luck this season's crazy. Isn't it? It's just one after another. We're just losing players to serious injuries for significant periods of time. And Jesus, of course, was just getting... And I thought Jesus was having a good game on the right-hand side to this point. He was involved. He was technically positive. He was direct. His passing was good. I was liking what I was seeing from him on that right-hand side. And it was stolen away from us, sadly, by this absolutely horrendous knee injury that he looks to have suffered. And we'll, of course, hear more in the week. We'll Mikel Arteta's press conference tomorrow, which I'll be bringing you, of course, on the Football.London website, and I'll be in attendance for that. But yeah, Jesus not looking good at all. Arteta after the game said that it's just the way he was speaking that made him believe that it really was a big worry. And naturally, this is going to spark, and it should spark. I mean, we should have, before this injury, Arsenal should be going into the January window, but this injury really does pile the pressure on the club to do business. I mean, yes, there is an element of, you don't want to show your hand too much. Clubs don't want to be, you don't want to give too much away to opposition teams you might be negotiating with. But they know you're in desperate need of a forward now. There's no club on the world that isn't in the know regarding Arsenal's need for a forward. So whatever happens, you're going to have to pay over the odds. So let's just hope Arsenal can do that. But we'll come back to transfers, I imagine, a little bit later on. Fernandes, sucker punch just after the break as well. Mistake by Gabriel, poor header from a long ball. And then, of course, the slip, which allowed Garnacho to get in. Jurriën Timber doesn't cover himself in too much glory. Saliba doesn't do too much wrong. Raya doesn't do too much wrong. It's Gabriel and Timber I've got my eyes more on in this movement that led to the Man United goal. And it was a goal that, it wasn't coming, but it was a goal that if they were going to score, this was how they were going to score. They were always going to score on the counter. They were always going to score on the break, just as they have done, just as we played Manchester United loads of times. And our record against them in recent years is absolutely brilliant. But it was always going to be the case that if Man United were going to score, it was going to be one on the counter, and it was going to be one from a mistake. And both of those things happened from Gabriel and Timber, of course, involved in this. And certainly was a really, really big blow to us, seeing that, of course, go in. But the second half produced something of an exciting, for the neutral at least, entertainment, because soon after that Fernandes goal, Arsenal were given their first of many lifelines in this game that was not taken. And that was Diogo Dalot being sent off. And quite rightly, he was sent off. To be on a yellow card and to do this challenge might be one of the dumbest things I've seen a footballer do on a football field. It was a very, very silly challenge indeed. It was a really weird situation for me in the press box where I was on the far right-hand side of the press where it was, because the far right-hand side of the press box was engulfed by Manchester United supporters because the allocation for United fans was, of course, extended for an FA Cup game. And there was a big thing about the upper tier not being able to be used because of safety concerns. And therefore, you had to add those fans to the lower tier. This wasn't a decision by Arsenal, by the way. It was something taken out of Arsenal's hands. But where we were sitting was completely surrounded by Manchester United supporters who, throughout the game, without question, were all very angry with the referee throughout the game. There was a real sense that the referee was not giving Manchester United much at all and was very much favouring Arsenal. But this incident, he got absolutely spot on. It was very much a red card. And minutes later, Gabriel scores. Obviously, it's another cross into the box. Martinelli, I think it is. It's headed out only as far as Gabriel, and then the deflection off De Ligt. I thought De Ligt was probably man of the match on the day. Sorry, off Martinez, but I still think De Ligt was man of the match on the day, but this did come off Martinez to level the scores. And at that point, you're thinking, down to 10 men, you've just leveled, you've got momentum, you've got that power behind you, take it. And Arsenal did take it and used it to create chances, but my goodness me, we know how to waste them. Because as soon as a penalty arrived, which was never a penalty, by the way. I don't know about you, but I was shocked when I saw this on the replay that it had been given. And it kind of goes to show why VAR does exist and should exist. Yes, it's favoured us in this instance, not having it, but it wasn't. And then, of course, after the penalty, it sparks an almighty scuffle between Arsenal and Man United players that sees Agate headbutt Kai Havertz, as you can see in this image here. And that is a red card. You know, it's never. I don't think it's ever going to be seen by an official without the benefit of VAR. But certainly this is another red card scenario. It's not happened. So you can kind of say it negates the other. It's not a penalty, but they missed the red card. I mean, if they go down to 9, I still don't know whether we score because we weren't scoring any chances whatsoever. What's on the day? I don't know if it mattered how many players Man United had. It just felt like we were never going to score a second goal. But of course, Martin Odegaard steps up, and it's more of a good save than a bad penalty. Of course, any penalty that it doesn't go in can be described as a bad penalty. It is a very good save. The ball is going into the corner, and Bayindir does exactly the same with Havertz's penalty later on in the game as well in the penalty shootout. It is a very, very good save. But Martin Odegaard, again, when that penalty was saved, it just, for me, it was very much like, yeah, Arsenal aren't winning this. We're just not. We're just not winning this. We're just not winning this game. As soon as that penalty was saved, it felt like destiny. It was like watching the Chelsea-Bayern Munich Champions League final when Robben missed his penalty, and I was like, well, Chelsea are winning this. Like, it's just, you can just see it happening. You can just see it happening. But Arsenal created more. Of course, the XG was well over 3 for the game compared to, I think, United's 0.17. But when those chances come along, you have to score them. I gave Havertz a 4 against Newcastle. I gave him a 3 yesterday. He only picked up 3 points for some of the off kind of shooting play that he produced during the game. But the shooting was absolutely horrendous. How many words can you come up with to describe Havertz's finishing yesterday and against Newcastle? Of course, these are the first 2 games he's had since coming back from this illness that meant that he wasn't present for the games against Brentford and Brighton, but that's no excuse to miss these chances. Absolutely awful finishing. And look, you know, what happened after the game revolving around Havertz's family is absolutely disgusting, disgraceful. We can separate from that. And for those of us that aren't children and absolute losers and live in their mum's basements and just spend their lives on social media sending messages to players and their families, you know, we can sit here and objectively criticize without making ourselves look like horrible people. The finishing wasn't good enough. And both chances that Havertz gets, the first one, of course, he kind of slices. The second one is just all he needs to do is dink the ball over by India, and he manages to, I think, miss a chance that looked easier to score. And then, of course, the penalty shootout. And And he's taken it. I mean, I'm surprised that he even took it. Do you know what I was also surprised about is that I didn't see Butler Oyedeji on the bench warming up at all during that period. I absolutely would have made that change. To miss those chances, I think you have to think about the situation. I think Arteta, for me, I would have brought the kid on. I would have brought Butler Oyedeji on. You got a young guy, all the motivation in the world to come on and make his first senior competitive appearance. I think it would be. And otherwise, why is he there? Why is he on the bench? Why is he on the bench? Bring him on. Havertz is having an absolute nightmare these last 2 games. An absolute nightmare. His confidence is on the floor. His motivation is horrendous. Horrendous. I would have brought the kid on. And I think Arteta got that wrong. But it wasn't just Havertz missing big chances, because my goodness me, Declan Rice misses an absolute sitter as well. A great cross, Martin Ødegaard. Ødegaard, by the way, he finished the game on an XA, expected assist, of over 3. James Benge was telling me that only 5 teams in the FA Cup ended the weekend with more expected assists than Martin Ødegaard, than just Ødegaard. The amount, and that, by the way, that doesn't mean he's produced 3 chances that should have been scored. That means over the course of all of the chances that Ødegaard created, at least 3 goals are expected from the chances that Ødegaard created throughout the game. He got 0 assists. Like, you can complain about Ødegaard's penalty, and I haven't got an issue with that. But the creativity in that game, how he wasn't rewarded with a single assist by one of his teammates, I will never know. But Rice had a brilliant chance with the header. Yeah, another really good chance that Bayinde saved very, very well. And of course, also in the second half, I think it was this first half of extra time of that shot that was blocked very well by De Ligt too. So yeah, I can see a lot of you moaning in the chat saying we're talking about XA. This is what I do, guys. Like, I'm just talking about the information from the game. If you don't like it, you can go elsewhere. I really have no time for you. I really don't. You can come on the phone and show afterwards and tell me yourselves if you like. Then comes the penalty shootouts, of course, and I've kind of already mentioned Havertz's missed penalty, but I had 0 confidence going into this. I mean, as soon as we missed the Ødegaard penalty, I feel like we were losing. But when it comes to the coin toss and then the penalties go to the end where the Man United fans are, even I'm just sitting here like this in front of my laptop, like just waiting to type in Man United win on penalties. It just felt so inevitable by this point. It felt so inevitable. So yeah, very, very, very frustrating. And it's I don't know what more else to say, to be honest. Like, the question I've got in my last slide here is just what now? Like, I know there's a lot of discourse online. I know there's a lot of strong opinions out there. I guess we'll talk in the phone in after the game, after the break, and of course I guess I should probably put that link in there now, shouldn't I? You guys can start queuing up to come on. It will be first come, first serve. I can't guarantee everyone will get on because it is my day off, and I quite like it, a bit of my day off, and I don't want to go on for 2 hours. Or I say that now. So if you want to call in, you must be 18 plus, of course. 18 plus, webcam required, quiet place inside, not outside, and not moving in a car or something like that. So make sure you fulfill all the requirements before coming on. But there is your link. I'll also put it in the description as well, and just make sure I put those same parameters on. 18 plus, webcam, the usual stuff, quiet place to record. Lovely job. There it is. Save. We'll get some of your thoughts on the show. But yeah, I want to read you something, actually. I was left naturally, because I'm very much well aware of the lightning rod I become for comments after bad results. But I had this lovely comment left by Imran after the game yesterday. I'll read this to you. What I've realised after this result against United today in the FA is we are not a serious club. We've bought Chelsea rejects for years. We're probably going to get another reject in Rashford. We're always looking for a bargain. After 25 years supporting this club, coming second twice in 2 years, having a poor window in the summer. If we don't sign someone significant this January, I'm done supporting the club and I'll go support another team in another league. I'm absolutely fed up of this BS. Now, can I just say, if you are like Imran, feel free to go support another club because that's not what football is about. That's not what you've signed up for. So it's mad to me, some of the discourse, some of the comments I saw online yesterday, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. But my goodness, the entitlement still reigns very, very strongly indeed. And that's where we are very much at. Right, let's go to part 2. Get some of your phone calls, get some of your thoughts. There'll be some usual faces. Hopefully we get some new faces as well. I can see there's a lot of people waiting to talk. So let's not waste any time. Right then, let's start with Oki, shall we? How you doing, Oki, mate? You good? You well? Take yourself off mute, and I'll be able to hear you. How you doing, pal? You good?
G'day, Tom. Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Bit down as most of everyone is, but good to see you, mate.
Yeah, you too, man. Good to see you. It's always good to see your phone. I know you don't share always the same views as me, and that's why I really appreciate you jumping on the show. So
always respectful banter. That's the name of the game, my friend.
That's the way it goes, man. That's the way it goes. Talk to me, man. Where's your head at?
Look, I'm at a loss for words, but I know I'm in a phone-in show, so I'll come up with some words.
Thank you, Oki. I'll see you on the next one. There we go.
Yeah. Look, I don't. We could go atomic, we could go catastrophic, or we could just look at the facts. We're just not good enough, Tom. And we haven't been good enough for most of this season. And I think the frustrating part, and one of the things you and I don't see it eye to eye on, is I think the squad building is at fault. I think the tactics are at fault. And I do partly blame the manager. I partly blame the players. I partly blame the owners. It's a big picture thing. I'm not going to sit here and be like, Arteta out. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
I'm saying that there's issues, and my problem is I'm worried that the manager isn't learning from his mistakes. We go out there and we do the same thing week to week to week. And I know injuries are a big thing. Sickness is a big thing. I'm not downplaying that. When I'm crook, I can't do anything. So I get it. But at the end of the day, we have a squad that's supposed to cover for some of these injuries. And this is the lightest squad we've had in a long time. Arteta has said himself it's a light squad. I don't think anyone's disputing that. I want to know who's made that decision to cull this squad to be so thin. Was it Arteta? I don't know. Was it Edu? Was it the board saying, hey, if you want to buy anyone, Marino, anyone, you need to sell X players? If that's the case, then this is pretty unfair on Arteta to then be said, suck it up, mate, you've got to deal with it because he's had injury problems, etc. But then you also have to look at it and go, some of these players we know are injury prone. You've got your Tomiyasu's, you've got your, Tierney's not really in the picture, but, we've had Calafiori. Well, he was signed with an injury problem, right? And then here he is and he's still got injury.
I saw a lot of discourse about the Calafiori. Obviously, last season, he didn't miss any, I think maybe one. And so, obviously, I think that there's been a lot of talk about Calafiori's injury history, but last season he didn't miss. But we're going off on a tangent, so sorry, mate. Carry on.
No, that's all right, mate. I'm just, I hear. I think I don't want to sit here and get on players' backs. That's not what I'm about. I don't think that's the point. And also, can I just say, and I know you probably would have covered it, some of the abuse that Havertz is copying, it's just not on, mate. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. You cannot like a player. You cannot like a player playing for your club. You can disagree with the signing. You can disagree with his wages, his fee. But to get on and DM him, his wife, his family, like it's Jack all over again, mate. And it wasn't on then, and it's not on now. And people need to be told that's not supporting. That's not being a fan. That's been a troll. That's been worthless. So sorry, I had to say that because it's
really... I respect you saying it, and I thank you for saying it. Okay, I think it adds more weight to your criticism, if anything, and adds more genuinity to what you've said. So I think fair play, mate, for saying it. Let's break a couple of things down. Obviously, talked about the tactics, talked about the squad building. There's a lot there. We probably won't have time to break it all down with yourself. So in Arsenal's last couple of games, obviously, I would argue, based upon the chances that they created, they deserved more than what they got from the last two games. And I agree with Arteta to an extent, not in its entirety, that it's mad that we didn't get more from those games. It's not like he can jump on the field and kick the ball in the net himself. Like the system, the tactics created chances that frankly should have been scored yesterday. Would be the argument that I'd say to. There's issues for sure, but when I look at the argument about kind of the tactics, I think there's an element of the tactics being responsive to the squad issues that we've had in terms of the injuries this season to our best player in particular in Saka. And then in part, I'd say that we are still generating plenty that we should be taking and scoring in that game. So that's kind of where I'm at with the tactics side of things, is that when clubs get into positions where they genuinely look to kind of move managers, and I'm not, by the way, saying that's where you're at, and you said at the start of your monologue that you're not in that position of being Arteta at this point, but when you see clubs looking like they're going to move managers on, it's not when they're having performances like we're seeing right now. It's not when we're seeing Arsenal be the dominant force, creating all of these chances and just not taking them. It tends to be when those teams are being, let's be honest, beaten comfortably by teams they shouldn't be being comfortably by. So that's kind of where I personally, I've said this and you've watched the show and you'll know, my biggest issue this season has been on finishing, how clinical we are when the big moments arrive. And I think that can link into squad building, which was another thing that you talked about. And I think that's the point which I'll discuss with you now, is that what do you feel we should have done differently? Because I'm not stubborn enough to sit here and say that I don't think we could have done anything differently, because we could. Because Marino and Calafiori, I think you have to add the context of the injuries to their seasons. And I think had they have been fully fit, we would have seen a different outcome from their performances. But equally, it's clear we wanted a forward because we signed one on deadline day and we got him Raheem Sterling on loan. And it feels like that there should have been a greater priority on that particular position in the summer.
Yeah, some interesting points touched on there, Tom. In terms of the squad building, what should have we done differently? I'll ask. I'll look at what the show kind of ended just before you went into this section, and there was some conversations about, Rice should have done better, Havertz should have done better with their chances. They had some huge chances. To a lesser extent, Odegaard took the penalty, didn't convert. I ask, are any of those players prolific goal scorers? I don't care about the position. I'm just asking, are any of them prolific goal scorers? The answer is no. Yeah, and that's fair, right? And that's not being critical. It's objective. Like you look at their numbers, over their whole career, not just one season.
Sure.
And I ask, okay, well, out of those guys, we're asking Havertz to contribute to goals. We're asking Rice to play 8, or more often than not these days, right? And contribute to goals. And we ask Odegaard to play the 8 or the 10 or whatever you want to call it in our system to contribute to goals. And none of them are prolific goal scorers. None of them are going to challenge Frank Lampard's record for scoring goals in a season. I'm sorry, they're just not. And I look at that and I say, well, we've got the wrong profile of players then if you want them to be chipping in for goals. And then the question is, well, do you want them to be chipping with the goals? And the answer has to be yes, because we don't have any other player aside from Bukayo Saka, who is a crazy star and is doing stuff that is frankly, beyond what he should be doing. If you look at his output, it's ridiculous. And we've put this huge burden on him to score the majority of these goals.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to give you a chance to interject your point in a second, Tom. But the last thing I ask is, what is our typical goal scoring chance look like? For me, there's 2 across this last season, maybe season and a half. One, Bukayo Saka collects the ball from the side, he cuts in from the right into the left, and he rifles the ball into the corner. Okay, that's an individual brilliance from Bukayo Saka. I don't know how much the system contributes to that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
He's doubled up every week, right?
Yeah.
So 2, we've really lent into set pieces. So we have an ability
or
to
just
have
crosses. I think we could probably put crosses into that.
Crosses,
not
crosses
just
and set pieces. Yeah. We've lumped it in a bit more, and we've got some muscle there, and we know we've got some excellent headers of the ball in the team now. So those are those 2 cases. The next question is, when is the last time you saw us consistently create one-on-one opportunities against a goalkeeper? Because I can't remember our style of play creating a isolated player running through consistently. Now, Martinelli had one recently. Yes, I know. He probably should have converted, hit the post. Yeah, absolutely. But that's not a constant for me. That's a once in a blue moon.
The other one-on-one chances I'm thinking of more recently is obviously Havertz against West Ham. I'm thinking Jesus had 2 against Monaco in the Champions League. So it does happen. I know what you're saying. Like, I think for a team like Arsenal, it's rare that you get those types of opportunities anyway, because you're going up against teams that play typically lower blocks and mid blocks.
100%. 100%.
But I do agree with you. The majority of our chances at the moment are coming from either set piece or crosses, or of course when Saka's available, those moments where he kind of takes the ball and rifles one from the outside, or sometimes we get other situations around the outside of the box. Or the other type of chance we sometimes create is what you'll see is either Ødegaard or Rice slip a pass through kind of the defense into the left or right half space, and then there's kind of a cutback at the byline, and that's another type of chance. But it's not the majority of those options. So,
but that is a system goal. What you described there, that's a system goal. That's a tactics goal. Which credit, when we pull it off, it's great. But I think the fact that we're not creating clear-cut chances, in terms of what I'm saying, traditionally, the majority of our chances aren't that one-on-one striker, kind of lends towards the system not allowing for that to happen. But also, as you say, Jesus had the 2, Havertz had the 1. When we do get in that position, we don't have a natural finisher to take care of him anyway. So the question then is, does Arteta even want those chances to be created, or does he prefer having a team system where everyone chips in with a few goals here and there, like we did last season, right? The problem with that is if people aren't natural goal scorers, they're not natural, that's not in their DNA, like we just talked about, those players, the Rices, the Havertz, etc. Eventually, they're going to stop contributing to the level we need to get over the line week after week after week, to the level of being a title challenger. So while I don't think we're at risk of dropping out of top 4, I think that's a bit too far on the catastrophe side. I think we'll get there. I do think that the way we're playing football now, not just the results, but the way we're playing football now says to me that title challenge probably over, unless there's an absolute miracle.
Unless things improve, like the idea of Arsenal in the league is not realistic at the moment. No.
Never say never, of course. And I love people. You should always have hope, and you should always support your team. But realistically, it's not going to happen this year, probably. Then we're out of the FA Cup, and the League Cup is looking dicey, to say the least. Okay. Now, if we rock up and we play that same football that we've done this week against Newcastle again, I don't believe that we can beat them in leg 2 playing this style of football. That's my opinion. I also think, like you said, the low block, etc., it contributes to our woes. More teams play it often than not.
Of course.
And
you have to adapt to that. Like and to a degree, the way in which we have put more emphasis on set pieces and crossing is part of the adaptation to playing against teams that sit deeper against us. That's why we do it. Man City, when they were dominating, they would pepper the box with crosses and looking for deflections. I mean, look at the goal they scored against us at the Etihad to round things off. It comes from a short corner, So that it's not. I don't like when people say, "Oh, Arsenal, they're too set piece reliant," because set pieces and crosses are an important factor in a team's attacking setup and shouldn't be ignored or overlooked or criticised for their usage. But I think what is right to look at is what our deficiencies are in certain other types of chance creation, and certainly so far this season, when we've created even those big chances, we're not taking them as well. And we saw that obviously yesterday. And I want to end the conversation, Oki, with you in more of not positive way, because it's not about being toxically positive, but I want to talk more about solutions, because I think today's going to be a lot of energy about, what's wrong with us. But I don't think that's really conducive to a productive conversation. So what needs to change? Because realistically, Arteta's going nowhere. So what needs to change for us to go back into that positive spot?
We need to find a way to break down that low block and the mid block at times more consistently. And I think Arteta needs to move away from a rigid style of play to allowing more flair. There's been things bandied about robots and they just follow a pattern, etc. And I don't necessarily agree with that completely. Like, we've got some incredibly talented players in this squad. As much as we've ragged on them most of today, Tom, with some fair degree to that, Ødegaard can turn a player. Ødegaard can pass. He can dribble. Gabriel Martinelli used to be a good dribbler. I don't know what's happened, and some of this has to be the system coaching some of that flair out of the players, saying, don't lose the ball. Do not lose the ball. Whatever you do, don't lose the ball. That's my belief. is part of the system. Is you strangle teams with possession, and then eventually you find a perfect pass or a perfect ball, and then we get the goal. And I just think we need to move away from that approach because other teams have figured it out. And unless we find some sort of mercurial striker on the market that's going to come to us, that's willing to take up the challenge to be our number 9 and be that flair player that can pick up a ball on the edge of the box, beat a player and drill it into the corner. I don't know who that player is because there's not that many on the market, as we've discussed at length in your show, Tom, and I think that's fair. Like, they don't just grow on trees. But
yeah, 100%.
Unless we can find that player, we need to find the solution within the squad to say, Gabby Jesus, I don't want you to pass it around the box anymore, mate. Be Brazilian, dribble a bloke, skin a fool and crack one. Honestly, like it needs to happen, and maybe we'll lose.
Sterling did a couple of things yesterday, I thought, actually, and I know it's like it's searching in the dark for your keys and trying to find something to kind of look for. But it did give me a little encouragement yesterday, seeing what he produced.
I'm surprised he even played, to be honest, because it didn't seem like he's going to get a gig, right? Like, but it's a strange transfer. But no, thank you, Tom. I appreciate the chat, mate.
Thank you, Oki. I really appreciate you jumping on, and I appreciate your views. Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Lovely stuff. I've lost where I am. There we go. In terms of, we're hugely busy. I'm already getting notifications saying, by the way, that there are people trying to join and can't join because our queue is already full. Now, obviously, on our phone shows, we get a lot of our regulars, and because we're so busy today, I've left a message in the private chat already. So have a quick glance at that. Not to dismiss people, but just it'd be great to hear from some different voices today. Of course, with it being quite a hectic thing. So if you are somebody that's willing to just open up your spot, that comes on quite a lot for some people that don't typically tend to get a voice on the show, I quite like to prioritize some different voices today. We will be doing future phone-ins. Don't you worry, you'll be back. I just want to try and open up the floor a little bit more to some various opinions in the chat as well. So thank you. I already see a couple of people have dipped, so I really appreciate that. Let's go to, who haven't we spoken before? Just Vanth. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Just Vanth, am I pronouncing that? Please correct me if I'm not.
Yes, Tom, you're pronouncing it correctly.
Good stuff. Tell me where your head's at, mate.
Really disappointed, but I don't know whom to blame because our play is very good where we create so many chances, but still we are not able to put the ball in the back of the net. That has been the biggest problem this week.
Yes.
So I'm not sure whom to blame.
I think it's been our biggest problem. Do you not?
For
me,
that's been the biggest
finishing, putting the ball in the back of the net has been our biggest issue. Like, you look back across games from this season, as recently as yesterday, as Newcastle, as Everton, as Fulham, our biggest issue has been putting the ball in the back of the net. Like, all those games, one goal in these games changes results. It doesn't change the Newcastle one. That might change it in the context of the tie overall, but it does change the significant outlook. So, who is to blame for that?
That's the confusing thing, right? Because we can't really blatantly blame someone. We thought yesterday we had so many chances. If Havertz had put any one back of the net, or Odegaard finished the penalty, or any one chances if we had took, and if we had won, we won't have these conversations. We would have moved convincingly to the next round. So I think we are. And yesterday Jesus gone on potentially ACL injury as well. So I think we need a more of an attacking spark. I think that can lift our team for the rest of the season. I think still I'm not sure that season is over. I think we can still fight for the UCL and the Premier League, but I think not with the 4 attackers we have. We need more on top of them to give that extra spark.
Magic question. I'll be asking it to quite a few people, I imagine, today. Who would you go for?
To be honest, realistically, I don't think anyone special is in the market available yet. I think worst case scenario, I will at least look in the loan market for Kolo Muani, who can at least Kolo Muani or Kingsley Coman, who can add some a spark to our attack. That would be very helpful for the rest of the season. So, but
both of them would be
I think
as well, obviously. So you're not committing financially to either of them in a season where you're going to be taking a big gamble on any January signing, really.
Yes, but I don't think Nico Williams, if he's available, I think the club should look at him. I think it's the right time to invest, and we can't leave this opportunity and wait till the summer and potentially fight for the top 4, we may not be in the Champions League next season if we miss this opportunity.
Desvant, I appreciate your call. Spoke really well. Thank you for joining us, mate.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Yeah,
thank you. Lovely stuff. Sam's up next. How you doing, Sam? You good? You well, mate?
Morning, Tom.
That doesn't sound like a happy voice, Sam.
It's what 8:42. I've got a hoodie on. I'm inside. Like
it's better than being outside right now, mate. It is freezing.
Yeah,
to be fair.
100%. But good morning, Tom. Good morning, everyone. And yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed right now. Just looking at the team, I feel like we're not necessarily playing bad, so I don't want to put it all on Arteta. But at the same time, it's like Havertz, like. I'm not even going to talk bad on you because every striker has their bad day, but
of course,
some of the chances you missed yesterday, it's like...
It's unforgivable.
Yeah, unforgivable. And it's like, it just seems that the rest of the team's just losing that fight we had, especially, you know, last year with the running with City towards the end of last season. But it just honestly feels like right now, we're kind of screwed. Like, honestly,
I empathise with the view. It's really hard. I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Like this time last season, we just lost to West Ham, we'd lost to Fulham, and then we were knocked out of the FA Cup by Liverpool. And the feeling was very similar at that point. The mood was very low, and yet somehow we managed to go on a run of 16 wins and 1 draw and 1 loss, and only missed out the league by 2 points. So you know that should give it some perspective that things can change very quickly. But there is a very big difference this season, and that's obviously we're missing the likes of Bukayo Saka. We've now lost Jesus. We don't have Ben White available to us either, who was massive for us last season. Timber comes off injured with what looks like he was holding his hamstring as he left, so we don't know if that's going to be a big problem. Jorginho leaves the field, unable to finish the game as well. It's nuts, isn't it? It's crazy what we're dealing with.
Honestly, and it's like, obviously, the past 3 seasons, you know, we've been okay with injuries, but it's like, this season is just, you know, the luck hasn't been on us folks, unfortunately. And it's just like, I don't know, man. I feel like the club needs to just take a real deep look at itself. I remember something Arteta said about, you know, when times get tough, he looks in the mirror and it's like, the whole club needs to look in the mirror right now. Josh, you need to look in the mirror. Arteta, you need to look in the mirror. Everyone needs to look in the mirror. And we need to use this window, use opportunity to actually, you know, fix what's going wrong in this team, you know, apart from, and the thing is, I know he did bad yesterday, but apart from like Havertz, I can't really see anyone that can get a goal. I know yesterday he was terrible, but you know, Havertz can perform on his day. You know, we've seen it, especially last season. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's like, especially with Saka now, that's somebody that contributes 60%, nearly 70% of our GA. As a team as a whole, and it's like,
I don't know if it's that high, but I know it's a big proportion. So yeah,
so I'm just looking at the numbers and the GAs he puts up every season, and it's you know,
it's at least 20 goals and assists, at least 20, like 25. You know, so
and that's more than half the team. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's just like, for us not to replace that or to get someone that can fill that void right now, to me, it's unforgivable. You know, and I know you're probably going to ask, oh, who do we get? And I understand, you know, the market's it's not in the best position right now, but I just feel like we need to be aggressive. I feel like we need to just put testers out there. Like, for example, the PSG Napoli winger, I do not know how to say his name.
Kvaratskhelia, yes.
For example, with that opportunity, you know, I know it's crazy, but try throwing a bid for Barcola. Just try. You know what I'm trying to say? Just show intention, because that's the one thing I feel like as Arsenal fans, you know, we're not seeing from this club right now. There is no intention. Like, it's what? The 12th?
We're nearly 2 weeks in and we've not heard anything. And I've not, from the perspective of even being a little bit more connected than, you know, your average fan, I've not heard anything suggest that a bid's gone in, or I know we're active. I know that we're certainly looking at potentially, you know, market opportunities, but there's been no word of like any kind of progression on it. We're not advanced in any deal. So
and that's what makes this whole situation worse. Is like, look at City, for example. Look at the slump they've been on. What are they going to do now? They're going to buy 2 centre backs and a striker. They're trying to fix it. I understand we're not in the best, you know, financial situation compared to City, even though, you know, they've still got them charges over their heads. But the point is,
I got to do my job, Sam. I got to do my job.
No, you're doing it well. You're doing it well, Tom, as always. But it's like, yeah, it's just like, I just don't see the fight from this team. I don't see no intention. And it's like, that's what kills me the most. I confirm the trolling from the Man United fans. Like, it's your first win there in 5 years. Like, okay, cool, whatever. But it's just like, there is no intention. There is no fight from this team. And it's like, it's just unforgivable. That's what's annoying me the most about this whole situation. It's just like, you're seeing the results on the pitch. I don't know why we haven't been at least linked with 2 players, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know, Tom. Honestly speaking.
Yeah, it's obviously difficult halfway through January to be conclusive because in a week's time things could be very different. We don't know, but if hypothetically we're having this same situation on the 2nd of February and Arsenal haven't shown not necessarily that they haven't signed anyone, but it's more for me the concern that we don't see any suggestion that they've gone for anybody.
Literally.
That's because I'd like to see that at least Arsenal are trying, or and while knowing that there is activity in the sense of they're looking and they're alert for some opportunities and they're willing to do business if they find the right players.
Yeah.
But I want to see the willingness to go a little further than what just they're willing to do. I want to see them. Yeah, I want to see them overpay in a certain sense for some players, because we're seeing Marmoush move, we're seeing Kvaratskhelia move, we're seeing players on the market of quality that are moving. We've seen Cunha, of course. Cunha's been the only one really that. Now, I was told there was nothing really in there, and I think that's because, of course, his talks with Wolves over a new contract were quite advanced already.
Yeah.
But there is a small intention, but there's not enough, and we need to see more from the club, especially now Jesus is out. There was no excuses really before. Now you've got even less reason not to sign.
Like, if we don't get someone to fill in for Jesus, I'm sorry, but Havertz can't bear that mantle on his own.
No, of course not.
And I'm not going to make an excuse for him, but obviously he's been going through some illness, fitness issues. So, a lot that's going to be compounded him. And it's like, we need someone to support him. The same way we needed someone to support Saka before he got injured. We need someone to support Havertz now. We need someone to support the attacking front, period. Do you know what I'm trying to say? No one right now is lighting the world on fire. And it's just like, yeah, honestly speaking, I don't know. I don't know. I think I'd take a break.
Stan, just before you go, I think you've spoken brilliantly. You've been very objective about everything. Where are you at on the manager? Just out of curiosity.
Oh,
because the discourse is from the loud discourse, and it will always be the loudest. Is that there's a lot of anger towards him, and I get comments every day suggesting that we should move on.
Yeah, I feel like. I think it's something you said about how, how, especially the beginning of this season, everyone's talking about, we deserve a title, we deserve this, we deserve that. But, I look at other teams like, I don't know, for example, Brighton or Bournemouth, who are playing really well this season. But it's
Fulham.
like, these guys, Fulham, exactly. They're not winning trophies every single year. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And, their managers are still there. They're still getting support. And obviously, I understand Arsenal, we're a big team. And
it's context.
We should be in these positions, but I just feel like right now with Arteta, I feel like the team's not helping him. Honestly speaking, I feel like the team's not performing, and because I don't think necessarily it's his tactics, and that's what's leaning towards me saying, you know what, stay. But it's just very hard to, argue against the fact that it's your 5th year now. Fifth year?
Fourth full season, fifth. I think fourth full season. Yeah,
fourth full season. Yeah. But it's just like, it's your fourth full season now, and like we've had nothing, no league cup. Like your trophy record in these tournaments is appalling, and it's just like I'm getting to the point now where it's like I don't know whether to blame him or to blame the ones above. Because I feel like there is some, serious issues with the Kroenkes, and the whole business aspects of Arsenal and, profits and sustainability and all that type of stuff. But I just feel like we're just not outgoing. And I don't know if that's down to Arteta or if that's down to the hierarchy, to be honest with you. But right now, I can't lie, I'm just going to take it by game basis. Honestly, I don't want to make a definitive, conclusion, because at the end of the day, I feel like what this guy has done for this club, I don't care if he wins a trophy or not. What he's done for this club, like I've never seen Arsenal. Fair enough, we're in a little slump. I've never seen us in this position for what? Since I was in primary school.
Yeah, how old are you, Sam, out of interest?
I'm 26.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
so
I
it's only a few
going,
years younger than me, but yeah, like
yeah. So
you I was only just old enough to kind of experience the Invincibles and I was only 10 when that happened. So yeah, there's a lot of fans of your age and younger, of course, that have never seen a title race, let alone, a major trophy beyond the FA Cups that we've won.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something of an exhaustion that grows the longer you go without it. But I think I am where you're at, in that I look at where we've been, I look at where we are now, and the idea that you completely ignore everything that's happened to Arsenal this season, and that doesn't factor into our conversation about where we are and what we're doing, I think is nuts. But you have to still be objective and criticize what needs to be criticized. And we could be doing more. We could have spent money wiser. We could have made better decisions in certain matches that have cost us. But no, Sam, it's been a genuine pleasure to chat with you, and I thank you for calling in,
honestly, mate. I've been sorry to cut you off. I've been watching this show like for the past 2 years now.
You mad,
so
man.
like it's an honest pleasure to actually speak to you face to face like this,
thanks,
man.
Sam.
And just to say you're doing a great job, man. I feel like you're one of the best
thanks,
people
mate.
on this platform. So just keep doing your thing, man. And we're all with you, bro. Honestly.
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate that. I do it because of people like yourself, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, bro, man. Listen, have a good rest of the day. And Arsenal fans, let's just try to keep our heads, man. Like, the people going to be trolling, doing all these lame stuff. But at the end of the day, we know our club, we know our values, and it's hard right now. But let's just try, just stick with this club, man, and just hopefully they can figure it out. Hopefully.
Sam,
thank you very much, guys.
Soon, mate. Enjoy your cold Sunday, mate. Or Monday, sorry, it's Monday today. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, it's Monday, man. Hopefully everybody can get through it quickly, and then Friday comes around the corner.
Indeed. Well, Wednesday, North London derby, mate. Let's not forget. So, yeah. There's a thought to leave you with.
Down. Hey. We shall see. We shall see how that one goes. Obviously, I'm always going to be up the Gunners, but yeah, let's just see, man. Hopefully we can get back to winning ways.
Cheers, Sam. Speak to you soon.
Thank you very much, mate. Take care.
What a brilliant call. I want to leave, before I go to the next caller, just kind of on the whole transfers and Arteta and what he's in control of and what. There was a really interesting answer he said in the press conference. I can't remember who it was who asked the question. Usually I'm pretty good at telling you who asked the question, but I can't hear. The question was, obviously today's performance will intensify the calls for an out-and-out striker after so many missed chances. Is that an area that you need to look at this month? And he said, well, first he said no, but I mean, we missed from various ways. Now, obviously the no in that answer is doing a lot of the weightlifting in quotes you're seeing going around. I don't think it's a solid no, as in no, we're not going to go for a striker. I think he's just moving into the second part of his answer, because what's interesting, he said, I understand, guys. Now, when you read that quote, it doesn't give you much context. In the room, and if you watch the video, and he's like, I understand, guys, like, he clearly gets it. Like, he gets that why he's being asked about the striker situation. He says, I understand, guys, but I cannot love my players more, and my focus, I'm very much focused on the ones that we have to perform at the highest level. That's it. The rest is not in our hands, my hands. And it's that point at the end of that answer, he says, it's not in my hands, that gave me a little pause for thought about the intention and what he wants and what is able to be got. It gave me a little, I was in that answer really did interest me, actually. Because, there's a lot of discourse around, Arteta's signed however many defenders and not signed this many forwards. We know that he's wanted other forward players of varying levels of success. You look at Mudryk, of course, but then you look at players like Rafinha, you look at players like Benjamin Sesko, who of course he wanted in the summer as well, and you look at Nico Williams, and there's clearly an intention there that he wants these forward players, but they're not coming in at the moment, and that's obviously a big part of it. Let's get Tally Beaver onto the channel. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
G'day, how you going?
Very good. Our second Aussie, or yes, correct?
Oh, yes, mate. Long time listener, first time caller. So thank you for having
mate.
me on your
Appreciate
channel.
you tuning in. What do you want to tell me?
Mate, I understand that we're still creating a lot of chances. Chance creation hasn't been one of our issues for a long time. Sorry, for the last few years.
Sure.
But even when we had no injuries over the last couple of years and we scored a lot of goals, we still had one of the lowest goals scored per chance created
shot conversion
in the league. Now we've got injuries, and the lack of the seeming lack of wanting to go to the market is probably a little bit concerning. Like at the moment, we've got White, Calafiori, Tomiyasu, Timber, Saka, Jorginho, Jesus, Dunleary, all injured. Tierney's leaving this month. Odegaard still looks like his ankle's affecting either his form or his confidence. Havertz and Trossard just need a big confidence boost, I think. Maybe a little rest. Sterling and Marino don't seem to have Arteta's trust. Kiwor, Zinchenko, they're both sort of last resort choices. Another couple of injuries. Are we even going to be able to field 11?
Yeah, well, it feels like it's very much going that way. Well, some people will say, mate, that's our fault. Some people are saying that's our fault. You know, injuries you can't help in terms of them happening, but the squad building side of things would say, have we done enough to cover those injuries?
Absolutely. And, you know, even if we wanted to take a big gamble, and it didn't pay off. Are you clicking a pen,
Tally, in the background? I feel like you're clicking a pen.
Yeah.
It's fine. I do the same thing. Go on, mate.
Even if we wanted to take a big gamble going into this season with such a light squad, which is fine, and it didn't end up turning out, when this window opened, we should have been on full attack mode. I mean, it is what it is. If it was a plan going forward to go in with a lighter squad to save money on wages in order to build a bigger arsenal to go forward with, that's fair enough. But it hasn't turned out going in with a light squad. Why aren't we looking at bringing people in? And
I don't know is the answer. I say I don't know. There's two potential reasons why Arsenal aren't being very aggressive at the moment. One of the reasons is they're just not convinced by who is potentially on the market, or the discussions that they've had for players that they genuinely want have not bore any, productive fruit that they think is going to go for a deal, and we're just not aware of that right now. Arsenal have always been very, closed when it comes to their transfer business. The other one is the restrictions. Now, I know that we've seen that Swiss Ramble article about suggesting that there's lots of freedom when it comes to PSR. Certainly my understanding from doing a little bit more digging is that UEFA restrictions are actually FFP rather than PSR. Remember, FFP is something we've not talked about in a while, but UEFA restrictions are apparently having somewhat of a weight on Arsenal from the info that I've gleaned. So they're the two reasons why, but I still think that there is enough freedom that we should do something in this window.
What's it going to take? 2, 3, 4 more injuries? Two suspensions and an injury, and we can't field 11.
Yeah.
I've got nearly 50 years experience riding the Arsenal roller coaster, and I love my team. But these last, 3 or 4 years, they've been super successful. Probably one of the only times that I can remember we don't have a natural goal scorer in our team. And we haven't had one for 3 years. Yeah. At least 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it's the player it's the piece of the puzzle for me that is obviously the most missing. But equally, it's also the piece that I, to a degree, empathise with the club's hesitancy, because if you get it wrong, if you go and sign 100 million striker Anthony or 100 million euro, I mean the Mudryk situation, they were willing to go very high on that, and we've seen how that's
absolutely. Look, I love Rice. We paid over $1 million for Rice, and I love Rice.
Yes,
but we brought him as a 6. Yeah. We've got a better 6 in our club. We're fitting him in as an 8. He's not really an 8. That didn't work out quite as intended. When Party goes, absolutely he can sit back and then go back and sit in the 6 where I think he's best suited. It's just that he has another player, that there's another player in our team who's better suited to that position at the moment.
Yeah.
Anybody who has any type of form putting chances away, It's a risk, but it's less of a risk than doing nothing.
I hear you. Tally, thank you for your call.
Mate,
I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. See you, buddy.
See you, mate. Have a good one. Martin is up next. Oh, no, Kwame's up next. Sorry, I clicked Martin and someone disappeared and Kwame came up. So, Martin, you'll be next, I promise, mate. Kwame's here now.
Good morning, Tom. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Tom, well, I'm very annoyed, because, I mean, to lose twice in the Cups, Tom, is not acceptable. That's not Arsenal. And, I'm going to say this, Tom. I like Arteta, but he's stubborn. Why I say stubborn, we need a striker because the up front is poor. Havertz is not a striker. And I like to say to this as well, Tom, whoever's threatening Travis's wife, grow up. Yeah. What's it got to do with his wife? You got no right to do that.
I agree 100%.
What gives you the right to threaten his wife?
I agree.
Havertz is not good. Fair enough. But to take on his wife, no. You're crossing the line. Arsenal, Arteta must listen that we need a striker.
Who would you go for?
Immediately,
That's
Tom.
The magic question, of course.
We need a striker. You know that, Tom. All of us know that. And I don't want to mention names, but our colleagues, Arsenal fans, were very annoyed yesterday. Tom. Our Arsenal fans were very annoyed. Yeah, go on, Tom. Sorry.
I want names. I want you to tell me which striker that you want to go for.
Tom, we with everyone. They say we want Brian Mbeumo. Then we say we want Victor Osimhen, and then we want Victor Correres. I think that we need. I think I would go for Brian Mbeumo. That's not like you, Tom. I like him because he's a someone who could win games. But we're not doing that. And the Conclaves are messing about as well. They're guilty too. Anyway, Tom, have a good morning. Thanks very much. Yeah.
I think you're right to put the finger more so at anybody. It's not just Arteta. I saw you writing that you're Arteta out in the chat box, though, Kwame. Is that you in the chat saying Arteta?
Oh yeah. Tom, I know because I was a bit upset. Fair enough. I don't know when I say things, but Arteta. Because of his stubbornness. Yeah. His stubbornness. I don't want him to go out because he's not doing. Because of so and so on. But maybe because of his stubbornness. That's what I felt got annoyed.
Angle your camera down a little. I'm losing you gradually.
All right, sorry about that.
I wanted you to. I don't need to come across in the wrong way. When it comes to kind of what you're expecting them for the rest of this window, because I read. Did you hear the comment I read you from Arteta from the press conference yesterday, where he says, "I'm focused on the ones that we have to perform. The rest is not in our hands, not in my hands." What did you make of those comments?
No. Arteta is the manager. He has to accept that we need improvement. Yeah, that front is poor. When I heard about Jesus, I'm very saddened that he's out again. And also, Havertz is not a striker, Tom. You and I know that. He can't do what you would expect him to do. And another thing as well, we should stop always relying on people like Saka. It's a shame Saka's not around, but you can't rely on him. We have to put a fight, and prove that we can win matches. When I saw Odegaard's penalty, the first one he missed, which was a miss, that was poor, what he did. Poor shot. I was expecting him to hit it harder. To hit it harder. That's what I expected him to do.
The penalty goes in. I don't think we're having the same conversations, obviously, because I think we probably go and win that game 2-1. And it's, I think the question mark around, I think yesterday is to do like a closed analysis on yesterday, it wouldn't be the right thing to do because we know that the problems go well beyond just what we saw yesterday. Because we saw them against Newcastle, we saw them against Fulham, we saw them against Everton. For me, our biggest problem is goal scoring not the volume, not volume, because we score a lot of goals. That's why, we've broken records in the last 2 seasons for goal scoring, but it's about the consistency. We can actually score more goals. Like Arteta's system has put us into a place where we have got the ability, the capacity to score record-breaking numbers of goals. And all I dream, and what I'm sure millions of other Arsenal fans dream of seeing, is that we have our own Erling Haaland, that we have our own Kylian Mbappe, that we have our own Salah in the centre forward position in particular, not just kind of that profile. But it's about if Arsenal go for that player, as they nearly did with Mudryk on a left-sided position, and as Man United did in the case of Antony, and get it wrong, it can be horrendous. And so that's why, from my perspective, you have to go and get the right player. So it's all well and good saying,
you're right, Tom.
Get this guy.
Yeah,
I empathise with their patience, but I also so not patience, the wrong word. I empathise with their cautiousness, but I don't. But what I can't empathise with is just waiting and waiting and waiting forever. Like you have to do something.
Yeah.
You have to find that option.
Yeah, you're right.
And I don't know if that's available necessarily, but we've got 6 months left of this season, a season that, frankly, a lot of people have already written off. And I can see why some people have written it off, even though we sit second in the league and third in the Champions League, because the injuries.
I was one of them, Tom. I was one of them.
And look, we're emotional people, Kwame. You know, we're fans. We get very emotional, and sometimes things we can have snap decisions or whatever. But I can empathise where people are, to a degree, kind of so frustrated with what's happened to us this season. I can't empathise with those that are just like, we need to rip up everything and that everything's crap and everything's this and everything's that, because clearly there is a bedrock here that has given us a really good foundation. We just need whatever it is to take us that next step. I don't personally think that's changing with the manager yet. I'm not saying I would never get there, but what I'm saying is right now I'm not there yet. I just think that we need to show that ambition this January to go into the market and find the right player if that's available. I sincerely think that there is options. You know, even Randall Kolo Muani is not the solution to all of our issues, but he is a player that is on the market on loan that maybe could add us something between now and the end of the window. So I'd like to see Arsenal make a play in those types of areas. And then in the summer, that's when you go for your because I don't think we're getting Isak. It would be a dream to get Isak. But there is a guy who's also in the Swedish national team, Kwame, who's scoring a ton of goals that I'd like to see Arsenal make a play for in Gyökeres. So that's where I'm at, Kwame. Last words before I let you go.
Last words before I let you go. I mean, I'm hoping that we beat Tottenham on Wednesday because so far, I'd love to say that we could turn it around at St James's Park against Newcastle, but I can't see it, Tom, to be honest with you. The only hope is that we can get a striker for now in January, and then, like you said, in the summer, we look at our options. Good morning to you, Tom. Take care.
Kwame, been a pleasure, mate. Speak to you soon. Lovely stuff. All right, I'm going to jump on Martin. Not physically, that'd be horrendous, but I'm going to get Martin to jump in before I lose him again. How you doing, Martin? You good, you well?
Yeah, I'm fine, mate. Thanks. Yourself?
Yes, all good, mate. Well, I think this morning's helping me calm a bit from yesterday, which is an achievement in itself, because I was, I say I was angry. I've been very good at detaching recently after games that haven't gone our way and understanding that there's more to life than football. And I called the missus after the game, Martin, and that calmed me down. I know everyone's not in that privileged position to always be able to talk to somebody necessarily, but it is important, I think, on the mental side to remind people to take breaks when you need to. But Martin, why have you called in? What is it you want to say?
Oh, loads. I tell you what, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in Kwame's place at 6 o'clock.
I was trying to rescue the camera angle. He's a passionate man, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think as you get older, you get more philosophical about it. So I've got that on my side. The thing that really, everyone says, "Oh, we need a striker, we need a striker, we need a striker," as if it's that simple. But it isn't, because the sort of striker that Arteta wants needs to do more than score goals. It's perfectly obvious that he wants someone as his focal point in attack, if you will, to do more than just be like the focal point, like an Ivan Toney or something like that.
Yeah.
We don't play like that. We play with a facilitator.
Yes, a facilitator. Good word. Yeah.
Yeah. And to find that is not easy. Now, whether Gyökeres in the summer would be that person, I don't know. I mean, my thoughts are that we'd probably go back in for Sesko. And one other thing that did occur to me while I was sort of sitting here, from a financial point of view, and everyone well, it's something that people wouldn't necessarily think of. Arsenal Football Club company are an employer.
Sure.
Yeah, they pay wages to people.
Yeah.
And they pay national insurance contributions on those people's salaries, which are going to go up by 2% or go up another 2%. Now, that's quite, with the sort of earnings that those players are on, that's a massive amount of money. And that's obviously going to feature into or feed into the sort of the overall finances of the club. So you're not only paying the players' wages, you're paying other stuff on top of that. Do you get where I'm coming from? I mean, without wishing to get political about it or anything like that.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Yeah.
That's an additional outlay that they're going to have to face, and that's obviously got to have to feature into their calculations on where they are in terms of their overall finances. It was just
you're not going to endear many fans with that, though, Mike.
No, but it's a fact of life. The other thing you've got to think of is someone like Nico Williams.
Yeah,
he's on mega money in Spain, and the tax regime in Spain is possibly a lot more kind of accommodating to higher earners,
right,
than it is in this country. So for it to benefit him, I don't know what the tax situation is in Spain, but I dare say he's probably not paying as much tax in Spain as he would do here. So therefore, we'd have to pay him even more.
Yeah, we will. I mean, I've heard £300,000 per week plus is what I've heard. Yeah. So
and then you've obviously he's got to work out. Well, hold on a minute. How much am I going to get back? Like, how much am I actually going to end up with out of that? And am I better off than I was in Spain? So he's got to factor in any additional sort of outlay that he's got from moving from Spain to the UK. It's just
I
always have this argument on sort of chat. Well, funnily enough, just digressing slightly. In your chat, my messages don't appear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'll put a comment in, and if you refresh the chat, it disappears.
What's the full YouTube name out of interest? So go and check if it's. I've had people message me this before. Like, you're not the only person who said this to me. So it seems it's a YouTube issue.
Martin Harvey, and then there's numbers after it. I can't think off the top of my head what the numbers are.
I'll have a look into it, man. If I need to message you about it, I will.
Yeah, I wondered if I've been blocked or something.
I was in a chat with Sophie the other day, and I think it was Don One was saying a while ago. He was saying my messages don't appear either, and I've looked in what you have, like a hidden users list, and he wasn't there, so I don't really get why that happens. But I'll have a look into it.
It's only on your channel that it happens. I don't know.
Really? Okay. I'll have a look into it for you, Martin.
I just think some fans just think it's like I mean, I'm too old to get into video games or whatever you call them now, but they just seem to think it's as easy as that. I saw. I very rarely watch the AFTV fan cams, but I actually watched Julian's one this morning actually.
People call me positive.
And it but he made a very good point. He said it's not as easy as just going into the shop, and he said, oh, well, there's our striker on the top shelf, we'll have him, put it in the basket, and away you go, Bob's your uncle. But it's not like that. First of all, you've got to find someone who wants to join you. Second of all, you've got to find a club that wants to sell them, which you're going to struggle in January anyway. So there's lots of factors to put into it. If Jesus is out for the rest of the season, really, I can't see any option that they've got, but they have to go and get someone.
Yeah.
The other thing I've Sorry, maybe I'm a little suspicious or whatever. It's very quiet about Saka, and I'm wondering that they keep quiet. First, 2nd of February, they'll say he's out for the season, and they're keeping quiet about it at the moment because the fans would go absolutely mental.
Yes, they would. I mean, in some ways it would be silly if they did that because if they did announce after the January window that Saka's going to be missing for the rest of the season, they will know what reaction that will get. So I don't think that would bring them any benefit, to be honest.
No.
We'll see. Martin, it's been an absolute pleasure to chat. I will check in.
Thank you, mate.
I will look into that for you.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries,
All right.
Thank you,
Have a good
Martin.
day.
Speak to you soon.
Cheers.
Bye-bye. Lovely stuff. Back to step one has put his camera on, so we're going to get him on the show. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Yeah. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Oh, it's Isowa. How you doing? You okay, mate?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Long time no see, Tom.
You too, mate. You too. How's things? You look stressed.
Yeah. Actually, I'm quite good right now, but yeah, talk about the topic we're about to speak about, Arsenal. Yeah, it's stressful these days. But I've taken a couple of people's advice, stayed in the periphery, not really delve into the season because let's talk about it. Yeah, so Havertz, it's very tough to talk about. I echo all the sentiments that the other callers have said. Don't go personal. It's not worth it. You're not going to make any sense about that. The other stuff, no needs to be said because this is the stance of the page, Gooner Talk. So there's no need to delve into it and keep on reiterating, but it's has to be said. Other stuff that we have to talk about is Arteta is a problem. He's an issue. He's becoming quite an issue in our squad, torn in our sides. Arteta has done wonderful things in the beginning. We have given him the trust. He was willing to fix the mess in the beginning. He's gotten us. He got us to a place where we haven't been since 2016, at least against Leicester. Well, what else?
I think it's a bit further than that. I think it's quite. I mean, we never went anywhere near the title that season. I know we were like in the lead at halfway, but we ended up miles off the title in the end.
Yeah. Then you're gonna bring out old wounds. Arsene Wenger and all about the January.
I'm just telling you the reality, mate. I'm just giving you the facts.
Actually, if we want to delve deep, but this is not an Arsene Wenger conversation. We can actually go deep on the January transfer window. What could have we done? Can we have competed with Leicester? God of extra players, same symptoms, different manager. Can say. Well, we have done Saka is injured. Why are we relying on Saka? Scouting department. Why don't we have a scout? Why did Edo leave? We don't know yet. There's rumors that he had an issue with Arteta regarding the importance of the role that Arteta was taking over him. I don't know if that's true.
I've heard nothing to say that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it's a rumor. So, but right now you're saying there's a backup staff that Edo worked with in tandem with Arteta, who's the manager. I get that. What else? Scouting. Getting in players. You hinted at something about his post-match press conference, where he was saying, what was the quote exactly? I don't want to misread.
He said, I understand, guys, as in, I understand why you're asking the question, but I cannot love my players more on my focus. I'm very much focused on the ones that we have to perform at the highest level. That's it. The rest is not in our hands, not in my hands.
So what can we extract from that? The rest is not in our hands. Is it that the PSR or the FFP is a bit holding him back because of the spending that he has spent last couple of years, or I don't really know what to make of it.
My interpretation of it is that if he could sign the dream player, he would, but he can't. That's how I've looked at it. That's how I've absorbed it.
Yeah, similar vein to you, I think so. Yeah, but why is that? And Tom, I think so. We hate Chelsea, right?
I mean, that goes without saying as Arsenal fans, does it not?
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's a rhetorical question somehow, and then I need to answer somehow. I don't know. So we hate Chelsea. Why are we, when they're going in the peak financial crunch, when they didn't have buses, for God's sake, to take them from one place to another? Why are we giving them money to clear out the garage sale that they need to help fix their club? We're in the tune of a 65 million problem in Havertz. I get it. The player showed up in the final of the Champions League, got them a Champions League. Yeah, why are we?
I think they saw it as a market opportunity. I think they saw it as I thought they saw Havertz as a player who produced some excellent numbers by Leverkusen, went to Chelsea, won the Champions League with them, scoring in the final. And I felt that they probably looked at that and thought, when is there ever going to be an opportunity to sign a player like Havertz on the market? There probably isn't. With the benefit of hindsight, it's really easy to look back on that now and say, £65 million is a lot of money. I honestly don't think that he is the main issue. I think that, again, I think we need to go into the market and find that that drew forward. If you said to me, with the benefit of hindsight, would I have rather have had Isak or Havertz? Of course, I would have rather, with the benefit of hindsight, signed Isak. It goes without saying. But at the time, the contexts are obviously very different when that happened.
I get you, but Havertz, what was he? Was he a midfielder or a striker? Was he a striker or a midfielder? I don't understand.
I think he can
Why
play
did we
all
get
of
him?
those. I don't think I call him a centre forward. I wouldn't label him as a classic number 9. I just think that he's a versatile player that could operate in multiple roles, and that's why they brought him in.
But we're not getting the best out of him, Tom, and that's on the manager. I'm sorry, it's on the manager. You're going to pay that amount of money.
Well,
basically,
you say we're not getting the best out of him. I think you look at the game last night just on its own. I think we gave Havertz everything we could have done to get the best out of him.
No, wait. Like, he's not getting the best out of himself. Let me rephrase that. Okay.
What do you want him to do? Havertz, let's have a chat. See that ball? Put it in that net thing. You know what I mean?
But, Tom. Like, buy a player that actually is a striker, is an actual legitimate striker that knows how to operate in the box. Havertz, with all due respect, he's a player that's a good player, but we shouldn't have paid Chelsea that money. How about our general policy with Chelsea later on? Don't buy players from them if they actually want to sell us that player, because they want to offload and get better players like Nkunku or Neto or Palmer or better striking options. We should be in the market in our phase 5 for whatever project we are in. We should be getting the players that they got instead of Havertz.
Who should we have signed instead for the centre forward? So in that 2023 window, who should we have got instead?
I would have to go look back. I don't know who was available in that summer transfer market. I'm not sure exactly. Whoever was available, I have to go look back. I cannot just say it out of the top of my head right now. But if you want to look up now, if you want to talk about now, there's plethora of like attacking players that we can look at. Actually, and this is a tangent to my other topic, where Arsenal's scouting department. Why can't we get a similarly to Liverpool's scouting process, like Michael Edwards, where we mix and match. We can get the high price players, plus we can get the stopgap players, plus they get players that are not yet known to the world, but still can also, they buy players that's in the January transfer market. Like for Diaz, they bought in the Klopp era in the first 5 years. If you want to compare Klopp to Arteta in the first 5 years, I think so. It's comparable, the amount of money that they spent. They got who else did they get? January transfer window, the defender Van Dijk, 75 million. So there's and right now the players you can get Bakayoko from PSV, you can get as forward players or wingers. You can get Strand Larsen. I like him a lot. He's a player that has tremendous upside. We can get Rolly Delap from Ipswich. There's Gittins from Dortmund. There is Williams and other known names that we were talking about, of course. So there are plenty of players, and you can get maybe not this January transfer market because it's recency bias. And Tom, like we have, I mean, you have as an English native, and you have a championship league that is like a fertile ground for like tremendous like superstars. Why are you not delving deep into the championship there that rivals like top 5 leagues in terms of talent? You got Gittins was from Dortmund. I think so came from the championship.
I always have a pretty simple answer for these ones, and that's because Arsenal are not in a position where clubs like Borussia Dortmund and Ajax and Brighton and other bedding grounds for like good. I mean, to be honest, they're probably the best examples. Like Arsenal are in a position where we are at this moment in time challenging for titles. Like the idea of signing the players that Brighton have signed and then sold on, like Caicedo and Cucurella and Ben White, even when he first came in to a degree, like. Arsenal aren't going to be able to do what Brighton and Dortmund have done with those players, because when those players come into those clubs at the point at which they're signed, they're not producing the level that they would need to produce at the level that they would need when they sign for Arsenal. So I get where you're coming from, and you're far from the only person that brings this up. But the reality is that we aren't Ajax, we aren't Dortmund, we aren't Brighton. We're in a position much higher up at the table in terms of competitiveness, or in a league that doesn't give you that same freedom. Like Ajax and Dortmund, when Dortmund were at the top of the table, which they've not been for a little while now, they ultimately had greater freedom to play some of their the younger stars, because the league is, with respect, less competitive than the Premier League. Ajax, of course, had that ability as well when they were dominant in the Eredivisie. But arguably, you could look at both of Ajax and Dortmund and see their recent fall-offs. You could argue that Brighton have also recently fallen off as well, but they've lost a lot of their key players when they tried to aim at building up somewhat. So Arsenal... I agree in the sense that it'd be great to be able to add those players at that point of their development before they become 50, 60, 70, 100 million pound players. But it's much trickier for Arsenal to do so than it is for those clubs to do that. From where we are now, I think, because I think we're going to go around in circles, Arsenal need to add that striker. We are all in agreement that they have to add the guy that is going to take Arsenal from where they are now with the chances we produce and scoring still a record-breaking number of goals to a team that's not just breaking records in terms of goal scoring, but is taking that to an even higher level, and that therefore then takes them to the big major honours. We all see that. We have to ask the question of why they've not done that.
Maybe because Arteta already spent all the money that was allotted to him. Maybe could that be a reason based on going back to the quote that you mentioned earlier in the post-match press conference? Rice, right now we're still paying for his money to West Ham. Yes. Is that was the ground? I like that signing, but was that money well spent?
Rice,
like we cannot control the price tag, of course, but. Like, is that having a knock-on effect on the way we operate right now in the January transfer window, where we're using that money, still paying to West Ham, and maybe Chelsea still? I don't know if we paid Chelsea the full 65 million amount.
It would have been in installments, but
yeah.
I don't think I can get into a debate about whether we should have signed Rice. Rice has obviously been
No.
I think that you look at the spending that we've done. You look at the windows. I mean, a lot of people answered saying we should have signed Isak instead of Havertz. I mean, this is unfortunately the level of misinformation that gets spread around. Isak actually moved the summer before we signed Havertz, so it's not as if it was the same.
He moved in 2022. Yeah,
2022. Yeah. So, and you know, that was a big point. And there was a question mark around should Arsenal go and activate the release clause of Isak. It's really easy to look at that now and say, oh, we absolutely should have done that because he's been great. But at that time when he was playing for Real Sociedad, there's no guarantees that that's going to happen. And Arsenal have to be sure on that because they've looked at players like Mudryk who they've gone to sign with or away at Chelsea. They've looked at Man United spending 100 million on Antony, for example, and see what's happened with him. And you know, they've tried to sign a player like Rafinha in the past. They couldn't get it done because he wanted to go to Barca. He's been brilliant at Barcelona. So the intention's been there to add forward players in the past. They've not been able to get. I can't begrudge the club for being absolute when it comes to signing like a player because they have to be sure. Because as you say, as they have done with some example, Fabio Vieira, great example. Like if they mess it up, it really hits us financially.
Yeah. But regarding my point of like buying, I think so. Yeah, I agree with you. And we cannot afford to like buy players. But then again, like it's a catch-22. Are you going to spend big for a seasoned player that you're not sure is going to do well? And you got like measure twice, cut once. You're gonna keep on waiting, and then you buy that eventual striker that Arteta wanted. And all right, here you go, the club, like whatever club we want, we're gonna take him from. And what if it doesn't work out, like Havertz, for so far? Like this thing happens, so why not just like mix and match? I never said that we have to operate like an Ajax or a Dortmund or a Brighton. Even Brighton, as you said earlier. Brighton are now having to compete with the level of the Premier League, the demands of the Premier League, and paying extra absorbent amounts. They're not operating as a free reign club that just got promoted, where they get players from other leagues. Openda is a good choice. I like Openda. I like Ilya Wahi.
Is Openda again? Like we can bring these names up. Openda, I hear.
Ilya Wahi,
of course, comes up. Sorry.
Yeah. Wahi from Marseille.
El Wahi, yes. Like, are these players realistically going to take Arsenal from where they are now to a title? I'm not convinced that they are.
All right, Tom,
if I'm going to sign a striker, I'm going to go into the market. Yeah. At the moment, the only other than Isak, who obviously I would love, but isn't realistic, is that in the summer I would activate Gyökeres's release clause, and I would take the gamble on Gyökeres.
Yeah, continue. I don't want to cut you off.
No, it's fine, man. I was done. Go for it.
Yeah. How about Osimhen then? Wanted to release the clause, break the release clause.
Why did no big club sign him in the summer, mate? Like, I have to question why he went Galatasaray. I have to make that question. Why on earth is he at Galatasaray? Why is he there?
Tom, we cannot let's go we cannot keep on moving the posts and whenever
I'm not moving the post, mate. I'm asking you a question. Why did no one sign him? Why did no elite club sign him?
But what's that got to do with us? Okay, do your research.
Because we're an elite club, and if other elite clubs are questioning why they would sign him, surely we have to ask that question as well.
But how about his attributes? Look at his attributes, what he does on the pitch. I don't know why nobody signed him. Maybe they're not interested, but why does it have to be on us that we have to look at other clubs? Why didn't they sign him for us to sign? That's not a proactive move. We're not being proactive. We're looking around. Yeah, I get you. You're doing your due diligence as you're asking background checks. Why are other clubs not doing what? Why aren't they not going for him? All right, then, do your background check. But he's an elite striker. He's a top elite striker. He has a release clause. It didn't go well with Napoli. Why? Okay, let's ask. Why is Kvaratskhelia the winger for? I want to butcher his name. The winger for Napoli. Why is he moving? We can ask. Yeah, why we can keep on ask questions. Why is he what's happened between him? Why did he different form?
He's not the striker. He's not a striker. If we're talking about getting the striker, and we're going to spend £72 million, which is what it sounds like it's going to cost, same as Nicolas Pepe, ironically, to get him. If we're spending that amount of money on a forward, I want it to be a striker. If we're spending 70 odd million quid on a wide player, you're still stuck in the same situation with Havertz and Jesus as your option. Because if you're spending 70 odd million on a wide player, I can't see us spending that again on a centre forward.
All right, then I gave you the striker. Which is Osimhen. If not, Gyökeres.
I'm in agreement. We agree. Let's go in the summer and sign Gyökeres. That's what I want to see. That's where I'm at. That's what I want to see Arsenal do.
Gyökeres, I don't know. I'm more convinced if we don't get if you don't get Isak, not Isak, sorry. If you don't get Osimhen, he's my preferred striker.
Better than Gyökeres.
Gyökeres, Osimhen did it in a better league, a more competitive league. He's been a main focal strike force in tandem with the other winger we mentioned earlier. He won them a league. He's a celebrated name. I don't know.
I would argue that Osimhen had one very, very good season, which was in 22-23, where he scored 31 goals. The season before that, he got 18. The season after he got 31 goals, he got 17. This season, he's got 13 in the Turkish league. So I'd argue that Gyökeres, you look at someone like that, who this season currently is on 30 goals in 32 games. Last season, 43 goals in 50 games and 15 assists on top of that as well. The season before that, in the Championship, which you said, remember, why don't we look at our English pyramids and look at potential options that have done well in those leagues? Well, he got 22 goals for Coventry during that season. And then, of course, as I've mentioned already, this season, he's already on 32 goals with 6 assists in 30 games. So 32 in 30. So I'd say that is a much more prolific and consistent and successive goal return than what we've saw with us.
Yeah, but I disagree. He has a very, very great numbers, but I have some hit and miss with the Portuguese league in terms of players coming from that league and translating their form that they had in that league and bringing it in the Premier League. So I'm iffy about that, and it can happen with any player, of course. Don't get me wrong, but I see Osimhen. If we're gonna create, you mentioned, and of course, rightly so, when you're defending the argument that we don't create enough and all we need is the cherry on top of the cake. Who wouldn't be better than Osimhen when the amount of chances we create by goals by committee, and we are almost rivaled, or we broke the number of the Invincible season in terms of goals scored in the past two seasons. Why not just put a focal point and a funnel system similar to Haaland? And basically, Osimhen does more than what Haaland does. He's not just a stationary target. He moves around. He's a bit about him. So if we're going to create all those chances and it's all going to funnel into Osimhen, why not him? Maybe Galatasaray doesn't have enough personnel to actually provide him the amount of goals that he needs to, or assists or chances created to give him to score. Arsenal, I believe, are the perfect team and relatively cheap. Yeah, you said ironically because Pepe and him came from the same club when they were in the French league, and he went to Napoli. Pepe came to us. I get you.
I think Gyökeres gets us more goals because his goal per shot ratio has been better than Osimhen's. He's a better finisher than Osimhen. Osimhen misses too many big chances for me. That's why I'd go for Gyökeres. But we're getting bogged down in a Gyökeres versus Osimhen debate, and obviously there's a much broader picture to this. But I saw we've spoken for a lot, and it's great to catch up with you, by the way, mate. It's nice to see you.
Final point, Tom. It's great to catch up with you. Also, regarding Arteta, I'm like really bored with Arteta's tactics, and like I almost feel, I don't know what it is. I cannot put my finger on it. He almost like it's like a handbrake type of thing where unleash the players, leave them alone, like let them like it doesn't have to be all the time very methodically. Oh, we're gonna recycle the ball, pop it around from one side to another. Oh, methodically. Like we almost in that system that Arteta has created, which has been beneficial in some sorts to us. It's almost like we're lulling ourselves to sleep because we're not a dominant side yet. Even I would argue in the past 2 seasons we're not a dominant side. Where we were getting teams were not used to us yet in terms of attacking prowess. They didn't have a low block on most of the times, but we were actually becoming a strong team. Once we became established and people started respecting us again, then they started creating the low block. But this idea of dominance of popping the ball from one side to another, where that other side, the left-hand side, is still not strong as the right-hand side, and then we lull ourselves to sleep. We keep on recycling the ball, relying on Gabriel and Saliba to always go on, take the ball back and recycle, start another attack. We're not creating enough chances that are dangerous, or we're not actually being more. What's the word I want to use? We're predictable. We're so predictable now that I could see it. Other rival fans, like my friend who's a Madrid supporter, he sees it. He doesn't watch the Arsenal matches as much. He knows what we're doing exactly. There's no sense of unpredictability that we use to actually penetrate the teams. Like that Spanish wing midfielder that gives me Cazorla vibes. I think so. He's a low center of gravity.
Baena?
He might be the. Yeah, what?
Is it Baena?
I think so, yeah. The one who plays in the Spanish league, yeah. That type of player or a profile could help us, actually, go, give us more attacking threat. But that's it. I don't want to take much of your time. I would love to
it, mate. It was good to chat with you.
Yeah, mate. Thank you. Good catching up, Tom. Have a good one.
Man. Speak to you soon. Lovely stuff. How long? Oh my goodness, we've been going for an hour and 36 minutes. I said I wasn't going to do 2 hours. As I said at the start of the show, just a heads up for those that are waiting very patiently. We are trying to prioritize some new voices on the show today. So it's very unlikely I'm going to get everyone on, and we are prioritizing some new people. So I can see there's a lot of you smiling at me and flittering your eyelashes. It's probably still not going to work, I'm afraid. And Pablo's putting his middle fingers up to me now. I'm sorry, Pablo. That's just unacceptable. Unacceptable, mate. Let's go and get Tom on, just because he's got a great name, I think, more than anything else. How you doing, mate? You good? You well?
Good in yourself, thanks.
Yes, all good, mate. All good. I'm feeling a bit better now, to be honest, after how I was feeling when I woke up. So thank you for calling in.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, look, I've got to say I'm quite embarrassed to be an Arsenal fan today after seeing the outrage on X last night. I think
brave man going on.
Reaction was quite something.
Yeah, I think you're brave to even go on it after a result like that, to be honest. But you've put context is key in your subheading. Tell me what that's about.
Well, look, I might be going against the grain a little bit, but I think that personally, I think Arteta is doing an absolutely fantastic job, considering the injuries we have, the luck we've had with red cards, and the poor decisions that we've had. He's doing a fantastic job, and despite all of this, we are still dominating games. Yes, the end product is not there, but with the resources that he has, he's doing a fantastic job. And I just think that the reaction to, yes, the result really hurt. And it's not, considering the amount of ball we had and the way we played, we should have finished the game, definitely. But the reaction has just been, it's shocking. You've got to, when I say context, you've got to remember the amount of injuries we've had, and the players that he's had to work with. It's ridiculous. I think if you look at the way he's built the team, we're looking for that end product. We're looking for that superstar forward. We don't have that yet. The fans are going to have to be patient. They just cannot react the way that they have been reacting.
Yeah, I empathise, and I think that the reactions that we did see yesterday were and have been way over the top. I think there is a large majority of people that just enjoy, sadly, as well, the kind of the situations and love to get the claws out when things don't go well. And as you've watched from this show, you know, the people that have been critical so far on the show are very reasonable in their conversations about it. And when they've got concerns and they've got criticisms, they're putting across in the flesh, you know, very much in a very grounded, and they're having a chat and a discussion. So yeah, for me, I do think that I agree with you. It's way overblown. Where are you at with kind of the January transfers and stuff?
Well, I think what's happened now with Jesus has kind of forced our hand. We definitely need to bring bodies in. Whether that's on loan or permanent is, I mean, it's going to depend on who's available. But we are at that stage now. It's just that we're not going to be able to compete with what we have now. It's impossible. Who we can bring in, I'm not entirely sure. But to say there aren't any options, I think, is not honest. And that obviously doesn't lie with Arteta, that lies with the owners. So again, X is a completely different world. I know there are very reasonable people, like you said, the people talking on your show, reasonable people. But people do need to remember that it isn't on Arteta completely to make these signings. And he obviously has the people that he wants to bring in, but he can only do so much. Do you have anyone in mind for who you can bring in this window?
As I mentioned, if money is a real issue, I'd probably take a lone gamble on a Kolo Muani and put our hat into the ring for him. I would look at seeing if there is a way of convincing a Nico Williams to take a lower wage. If there's not, then probably I can't honestly, I can't honestly like say I would pay over £300,000 a week and break our wage structure for a player that's got less goal contributions than Martinelli this season. I'm just going to take a quick glance at the chat because I'm sure there's always people jumping in with names as well. There's not actually at the moment, to be fair. I don't think there's obvious candidates. I know Kvaratskhelia and Marmoush are on the move this window. Kvaratskhelia is going to cost PSG about £72 million and close to £200,000 per week, or €200,000 per week in wages. I think if you're going to spend 70 million on a player, I probably want it to be a centre forward rather than a wide player. I think if we're going to sign a wide player, you go down the more 40 to 50 million pound route, which obviously Williams falls into if you can get the right wages. But it's hard because there aren't these obvious candidates for me at this moment in time. We are getting some. Hussein says Matoma. This is the type of suggestion we get, Tom. Like it's like, why on earth would Brighton loan us Matoma? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would that happen? He might be joking, to be fair, but you know,
Brian Mbeumo. I mean, he could be a possible option.
So the issue with Mbeumo, I have to, and I bring this up, is, and I was having a conversation with somebody who's got quite strong links with the club, and when I brought up the name Brian Mbeumo, I said, "What about Brian Mbeumo?" And very much the reaction I got was, if you think about the fact that Bukayo Saka is, when fit, going to start every single game, barring the odds 1 or 2. I mean, you look at Salah; he starts pretty much every single game for Liverpool because he's their best player. I do think that there is something to be said about the idea that would he come to us? Would he come to us if honestly we are going to be playing somebody ahead of him almost every week? And then you're going to have to pay a premium for a Premier League player in January as well. I mean, they were looking for a huge sum of money for Tony, weren't they, at the time when he was under contract? And Mbeumo still has 2 years at the end of this season as well. I just can't see us. And you've got, say, Waneri coming through as well. And are you going to block that pathway, some minutes for him, by spending on Mbeumo when you could spend that money on somebody who is going to play when Saka's still fit as well?
Yeah, I know that is a good point. Do you feel like it's more a striker issue that we have at the moment, or do you feel like we need more depth on the wings? Because I personally feel like Havertz, yes, you can look at the big chances missed, but he's getting himself into those positions. And if you're creating enough chances, that's more important than the one or two that he does miss. I personally think he's done a fantastic job, and his numbers are really, really excellent. Again, X is another world, and he gets a lot of hate there. But I think he's a fantastic player. And I would personally want to see someone that comes to challenge Martinelli's position in the team. Maybe someone that can play on both wings as well. I know a lot of people have mentioned Barcola on X. Also, really a fantastic option, maybe to challenge Martinelli and also to rotate with Saka. But yeah, for me, I don't think Havertz is the issue at all. I really do think that the wingers are the place that we need to create a little bit more depth and challenge the players a little bit more.
I think that's fair, Tom. And it's been a pleasure to chat with you. Thank you, mate. I really appreciate your call.
Thanks for having me on.
You're very welcome. Just before we go any further, as I did mention at the start of the show, I can't get everybody on. And I did say at the beginning, and if you want to rewind after our first caller of the day, I did say we were going to prioritize some new voices. I can't say any more than that. We if you go back and watch the last however many phone-ins we've done, you'll know that we get a lot of our regular callers on the show, and this is a platform that's open to everybody, and I want to try and give people who haven't had as many opportunities to speak on the show in previous phone-ins as much of an opportunity as I can when there is the opportunity to do so. This is free. This is like you have to pay to come on. It's nothing like that. I get there's people that get frustrated, and then you can probably tell if you're listening, why on earth is Tom saying this? People get frustrated that they can't get on, and because we're prioritizing some newer voices today. I'm really sorry. I can only apologize, but I did provide that warning earlier on in the show. So that's there. Let's get someone I've spoken on the show with loads then, shall we? No, I'm only joking. Let's go to Yo Bro, who's waiting. How you doing? Yo Bro, to you too. How are you?
Can you just hear me? Because I don't know if my AirPods are working.
I can hear you, mate. Yes, I can. What's your name? Because I can't call you Yo Bro. If you want to give me a fake name, feel free.
That is my name.
Isma, how you doing?
Yeah, man. Just quickly, I've got 2 questions just to ask you. Yeah.
Yes, go for it.
Do you feel Arteta can change his tactics, play different?
Yes, I do.
Like when we come to, I don't know how many times I've watched Arsenal, and they look like they play the same. I believe every team knows how to play against Arsenal, especially in the Premier League nowadays. So I'm thinking if we was to get that prolific Isak striker, he won't fit in our team to do what he's doing, for instance, at Newcastle right now. There's no point in getting him because he won't be able to do what he's doing at Newcastle. So what do we do? We're gonna have to change it.
Let me put a question to you then. If you swapped the strikers in the game against Newcastle in the League Cup, who do you think would have won the game?
I personally thought it would have been a 0-0. I don't see Isak scoring.
So the chance that Havertz had, the free header he had, which he messed up with his shoulder, you think Isak would have missed that?
Possibly. Because yet again,
why do you want to sign him then?
That's what I'm saying. I didn't say I want to sign him. I just.
You don't want to sign Isak.
It's not that I don't. I'm just saying the first question.
So you do want to sign Isak?
I don't mind, but I'm just saying Isak.
Oh, I mind. I'd love to sign him.
It's just that, for instance, that when it comes to Arsenal now, the way they play is, as people say, sometimes it's just boring.
Okay.
It's just crossing the balls in. Yes, what we saw Havertz, he's a mess at the moment, but I cannot just vouch that we're going to carry on playing like that just with Isak. I want better ways of scoring. I want to see him doing what he did at, what was it, Liverpool, was it? I don't see him getting in that position, playing for Arsenal to score. Was it the goal of the month?
Who, Havertz?
Isak. Didn't he score the goal of the month in December? Was it
the goal from range.
I don't see him scoring like that for Arsenal. And he wants to be doing those type of things. And
I'm not sure I could name you. I'm not sure I could name you another goal Isak has scored like that goal. To be fair,
but he's not doing tap-ins like how Havertz are supposed to be scoring.
No, but Havertz has also scored goals that aren't just tap-ins.
Yeah, but Havertz should be scoring goals that any striker can score, and he doesn't.
No, I know, and that's why I personally would put myself out there and say with chest that I want Isak. You said that you don't mind if we say. I mean,
I'm not saying that I don't want him, but I just don't think he.
No, I didn't say you did, but you said you don't mind.
Yeah, I just don't think he'll do what he's doing at Newcastle compared to Arsenal. I think possibly, I hope not, but if he did, I feel Arsenal might destroy him.
So you think the two chances that Havertz had yesterday against Man United, Isak doesn't score them?
I think he would score them, but I don't think we'd be in that position to be doing that because I don't think Isak would want to come to Arsenal because of the way we're playing. It doesn't fit his philosophy of a footballer. I want him to have those
spaces. Why did anyone sign for Arsenal then over these last few years?
Of money and stuff, and it's football.
So why wouldn't that count for Isak then?
Because as I said, what does he want? Why don't you stay at Newcastle then?
I'm sorry, mate, I don't really understand your point. When you said that Isak won't come to us because of the way we play it, I said, well, why did anybody sign for us? You said, well, because money and stuff. And I then said, well, why wouldn't that count for Isak? But it has counted for all the others. Do you know that doesn't really work?
I just don't get why Isak would want to come to Arsenal personally, especially the way we're playing right now.
Okay, so the team that are currently second in the league, third in the Champions League, have obviously got through to the semi-finals of the League Cup this season. I don't really get the argument of why a player wouldn't want to come to play for Arsenal, a team that scored a record number of goals last season, that the season prior was also a record number of goals. Why wouldn't a striker...
Arteta needs to change the way he managed the club, to be honest. Like you know that saying, the icing on the cake or whatever. I feel he can make that's it, that one. He can make the cake beautifully and everything, but he just can't put that cherry on top of the cake. So I don't know what manager that is that can put that cherry on top of the cake. I'm not saying Arteta's rubbish, but I'm just saying I think he can just make the cake very nice, everything, but that cherry on the cake he just can't do, and we've seen it now. Don't we need a trophy this season? We got to the semi-finals. I'm not saying game's over. You never know. We could 3-0. We can easily 3-0 Newcastle. Well, not easy, but we could do. But at the end of the day, I know. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very, very difficult. Loads of teams, as I say, low block, were not good against us, and so many people are just going on saying, you guys are just set pieces, corners, crossing. That's just the only way we can score from recently. Well,
it's not though, is it?
Yeah, this calendar year.
It's not the only way we can score goals, though, is it?
It's not, but I'm hearing loads of things like, funny enough, I missed the goal, but if I was to guess how we scored yesterday, it was through a header or something, or because I'm not just because it's Gabriel's name, but
we moved down the left-hand side, Martinelli on the left, crosses in, ball is cleared out to Gabriel. Gabriel then strikes the ball and it's deflected past Bayindir was the goal. Well, I mean, it's a way that we have scored goals. It's a way that we find ourselves second in the league. We don't just score crosses and set pieces. We score loads of other goals. And yesterday, of course, we created opportunities like Rice's chance, the two chances he had with his left foot that he shot, which Bayindir saved the first one. And of course, the second one, I think, was blocked by De Ligt as well. Like, we do create a variety of chances. And I don't agree with you that if Isak was in the team... I think personally, if Isak is in the positions that Havertz was in the last two games, I think we win both games. And so I do think that if we had that striker, which I think we both agree that we need that striker, that we would be winning those games. And I don't think it's fair to say I don't know why Isak would join us when Arsenal have convinced all the players that they have convinced to sign over the last 5 years. So I don't agree with that entirely.
Not
I think
all of them. Didn't we want certain players that certain people just want to stay at the club? They don't want to leave. But then when Barcelona comes knocking in, or
Rafinha
I want to go
being
to
that example. Yes.
Okay, that's one of them. He's gone there.
So that shows you that we're trying to sign players as well that also are not, that are going to Barcelona instead of. To be fair, there's always going to be situations like that, though, isn't there? There's always going to be scenarios where a player either wants to stay where they are, in the case of Nico Williams for this season, which there's a lot of reasons why he has, and he's paid very, very well there as well. And Rafinha, of course, has had this dream of going to Barcelona. So, yes, there are going to be situations where players want to move, but I think it is unfair to ask, why would Isak want to come to Arsenal? Well, there's
I
loads
just
of
feel
reasons.
he
Arsenal in
might
the
be
Champions
doing
League is
better
going to
as
get a good
a
wage.
Arsenal.
Arsenal are currently in contention still for both the league and the Champions League. So I don't really agree with that personally.
Well, okay, I understand that. I personally feel if Isak was to come to Arsenal, I feel Arteta needs to change the way we play. But there's been multiple times where Saliba's the most touches on the ball or the most passes and stuff. And as a fan, I can't have my centre back being the one that's passing the ball the most of all
So
places. I don't
we're
like that
on what
personally.
this season? It's an interesting question. We're on 40 points so far. Obviously, the same amount of points we were on at the same stage last season. We're 6 points behind Liverpool, who have a game in hand on us as well. If Isak was in this team this season, all season, instead of Havertz, how many more points do you think we would have?
Oh, one thing. So if we had Isak now, he would be injured. Just that's it.
Okay.
It's not. I'm just saying. I just have to speak. But I feel yes, Isak would do more. But I
Why would he
still
be
don't
injured?
think
Out of interest,
because Arsenal are just injury prone for players to be
oh,
honest.
just luck,
Somehow,
just superstition, right?
yeah,
Okay.
superstition.
But
Like
let's
it would have been
hypothetically
him
say he
instead of
wasn't
Davies.
injured.
Yeah,
Let's
I know, but
hypothetically say he
Mhm.
wasn't injured. How many more points do you think we would have this season if we had Isak in place of Havertz?
I still feel we'll be in the same position.
You don't think we'd have any
I
more
don't think
points?
we would. No, because it's not just that goal scorer. Like with what's it called, Brighton, and the stupid referee and stuff for what's it, Declan Rice. I still don't feel we'll be much stronger. Possibly a point, 2 points where one draw could have been a win, but I still feel we'll be in the same position now. I don't see the way we play and everything. We would be a point behind Liverpool or ahead of Liverpool personally.
Okay.
I just
Fair
feel
enough.
Liverpool will slip up. I just don't know when or where, but they will slip up. But I can't guarantee that when they do slip up, which we've seen before, we haven't counterized on it. But yet again, you're saying if we did have Isak, it would have been different.
Yes,
But
I do.
still,
I personally think if we had a world-class centre forward, we would be in a better position than we are right now
what
with
about
the current
Gyökeres
system.
then?
Yeah, well, that on the last call I said, didn't I? I said that's who I personally would go for. You got a guy
Why
who
is that?
scored.
Is it because it's just cheaper?
No, it's because Isak isn't available to us, most likely. Realistically, the idea of Arsenal spending well over £120 million potentially on Isak, I just can't see that based upon the reality of Arsenal's situation, because striker isn't the only area we need to sign players in, you know. Gyökeres has a release clause, so that makes his signing easier in the sense that you don't have to pay well over the odds. Like, you know what you're going to have to pay, which is around just over £80 million. So probably at least 40 million less, if not more, than what Isak would cost. And he still produces a fantastic goal record of 70 goals in the last 70 games, around that figure.
Is that just all the price up front, or can we do it in stages?
It depends on the release clause. Sometimes you can come to an agreement with a club over how the release clause is paid. But if it's a Spanish team, you have to pay up front. But I think it's different for Portuguese sides.
Well, I'm not one of those people saying Arteta out. Also, what I saw with Havertz when I woke up, and his wife was that wasn't good at all, to be honest. But I just want the team to play, because as I said, we could get that striker and nothing changes. I just hope that he needs to change the way he plays Arsenal, plays the team. The way they're playing, to me, doesn't suit the capabilities of our players that we've got. Like, for instance, Sterling, for instance. Yes, I see Sterling trying to beat his man, but every time he's trying to beat the man, the ball's running off the pitch. Or, I've forgotten their left back, the young boy, he's kept tackling him and winning the ball every time. It's just, where else
Miles
do we go from
Lewis-Skelly?
now? No, on Man United's team. The
Oh,
one
sorry.
that kept tackling. What's his name?
Well, they brought Malacia on in the second half. Who was the left back? Who was the left wing back? Mazraoui, I think, was left wing back.
I think so. It's just, I don't know what else we can do, to be honest, to move forward with our club.
I personally think signing a better centre forward would change a lot.
It.
And I think that the system that we have, you might call it boring, but the system that we had has seen plenty of people suggest that Havertz missed some absolute sitters, and not just 100%. Havertz, but Rice did. Odegaard missed a penalty. Like, at the end of the day, Arsenal should have won, in my opinion, their last 2 games based upon the chances that our system created, personally. If you want to call it boring, call it boring. I don't care at the end of the day. If Arsenal win games and are getting closer to winning those trophies, I don't really care how we play. Right? It's about getting the points on the board. And I just personally think that if we had a world-class centre-forward in this current system, we would be much closer, if not level, if not maybe even better off than Liverpool this season. That's just my opinion. And we don't agree, and that's fine, because opinions are allowed to be had and you're allowed to vary.
I understand. I get it. I'm just saying, if we had Isak in that, I don't want Isak playing as the new Havertz, basically. I want Isak playing like how he plays at Newcastle.
Well, they're different
I don't
players,
want
and
him to be in that.
I think it would be different.
Yeah,
so I think
I hope
Arteta would change the way that
I
we
hope
played
so.
based upon who was there. But yeah, it's been a genuine pleasure to chat. I know we've not aligned, and that's fine. But I think we've shown that you can have different opinions and speak amicably. So
I just hope that he was to change the way Arsenal plays. If that's fine, I'll be back on and I'll be like, yes, we're in agreements now. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I
that's
really
fine.
don't know.
I hope I see you soon on the channel and we're talking about that very thing. Thank you, mate. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. Jack's up next. Sorry, Jack, I kind of threw that on you then. I just popped up. How are you, mate? You good? You well?
I'm trying to stay positive. But
yes.
What can you say? I was out with my dog and I've missed quite a lot. So sorry if I do end up repeating anything that's been said. But
I just want to hear your opinions, mate. Go for it.
Well, watching things and stuff from yesterday, I thought when Sterling did come. Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I'll start with Jesus, who replaced us. I thought Jesus, unfortunately, started to look good, started to be a bit more positive and stuff. And then, unfortunately, what I'm hearing is it could be ACL, which will also might affect our capabilities of selling him in the summer. If he didn't end up leaving, I suppose. I thought Sterling did show a bit of positivity when he came on. I like the fact that he was actually taking on the full-back when he came on. Whether or not it's going to be enough, whether or not he can step up now that we desperately need him, because it's not looking like we're signing anyone. There's whispers and rumours and stuff, but I can't see it happening. Whether or not they've put too much on Ato, or whether or not Mikel Arteta is actually involved in the transfer thing. I think a lot of people seem to think Arteta's Wenger and he's in charge of everything. He might be the manager, but now, like back with Wenger's time, we didn't have technical direct. Well, we had David Dean, but no one else since then that have actually done what Wenger did, if you know what I mean. Yeah, I think. I don't know. I think, in my opinion, if obviously we all have an off day, but I mean, Havertz was almost playing against us yesterday. I love Havertz. I love him as a player. I think he has helped us a lot since he's come in. I don't know if people remember that he is our top scorer this season, so he's not exactly playing poorly.
Yeah, but we need better. I don't think it's incredulous to say we need more than what Kai Havertz is giving us. When I've defended the guy, my position on Havertz in terms of defending him has been from a position of I think the level of criticism he gets is way overblown from my perspective.
Oh no, absolutely. I think you're right. I mean, I think people have still got their anti-Chelsea hats on, to be completely honest, because he's not playing anything like he played at Chelsea. He runs his legs off. I'm surprised he's still running towards the end of most games. But it makes me tired watching him sprinting at the keeper and stuff towards the end of a game. But I'm not. I'll criticise him when he plays poorly, and he played poorly yesterday. His finishing wasn't good enough, but he wasn't the only person. He just seemed to have the most chances.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And Rice as well. Who obviously, is it interesting to you that Rice maybe hasn't got the level of heat that Havertz? Not surprised, because I don't think anyone would be surprised, but is it intriguing or revealing that Rice hasn't received the heat for his missed chances yesterday, which you could argue the header is probably a better chance than either of the two Havertz chances?
Yeah, I think the header, apart from Ødegaard's penalty, was the winner.
Chance. Yeah,
it was the winner. I mean, you put it straight. I mean, Binder had a cracking game yesterday. I'm not going to deny him that, but you've got to stick it to the side. It's not. He didn't have to stretch for it or anything like Havertz had to do for a couple of his chances. He was there. He jumped it. He got timed everything perfectly, but he pushed straight at him. I mean, it might have been because he came on later. There wasn't as much to sort of pick up with Rice. But the fellow who was speaking before, I think it was. we just don't seem to get as many clear-cut chances at the moment, if you know what I mean. So when you get a chance like Rice did, you have to take it, really. Otherwise, I mean, he hit the target, which is what they say, you have to hit the target. But when you're that clear-cut in your chance, you've got to finish it. You've got to finish it. I mean, in my personal opinion, and I could be way off the mark, I think it's time to, if we're definitely not going to make the signings, we've got to try Martinelli through the middle, because I think he's wasted out wide for me. He can't cross from the byline with his weak foot. I mean, trying him on. I mean, he's had a couple of games on the right. He's just not. He's a better finisher than he is a crosser. And he's quick, and he is. I don't know if it's been his confidence and stuff. 2 seasons ago, he'd take anyone on. He'd beat him on the outside or beat him around the side. I think he's that quick, and he is a good finisher when he does get the clear-cut chance. I mean, I personally would try it if he's not going to get anyone else. I mean, Havertz has been good for us. He's not the quickest, but especially the one where he sort of got it to his feet and sort of, like sliced it and it went wide. He's just not. I don't want to say clinical because he has been, but he also hasn't been.
Well, no, he's not been clinical enough. Would be, the right way to put it, and I think that's fair.
I mean, no one has really, bar Saka, but we've got to have Saka now until possibly March, April. So we need someone to step up. But I think out of everyone we've got, I mean, Trossard, I would have said, but he's not doing the job at the moment.
No.
Martinelli's form does seem to be coming up. So I'm not the manager. He trains with them. He does more than we do. But it's just ideas. Hopefully, he might watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can only hope. Jack, I think you've been very reasonable and grounded in a lot of your thoughts, and I appreciate that. So thanks, mate.
No problem, mate. Nice to speak to you, Tom.
Likewise. Have a good day. Enjoy your Sunday. I keep saying Sunday. Enjoy your Monday. Have a good one, pal.
I'll tell you what. Meat win as well. I've got my own little win as well.
Oh, little win. I love that. Brilliant.
Lovely.
See you later, mate. Have a good one. Top one. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Jack. We've got, oh my goodness me, I've been going for 2 hours and 6 minutes for you guys today. There are, I can tell you, Benny is waiting, Daniel is waiting, Josh is waiting, and TJR is waiting. I'm going to try and get you all on. I'm going to put in the extra effort and get you all on. Thank you for your patience, guys. I really appreciate it. Josh is up next. How you doing, Josh? You good? You well?
Hey, man. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I've been better, mate. I'll be honest. I've been better.
A long morning for you.
Very long morning. A very long morning.
A few impatient people in the back shop, which is a shame.
Tell me how you're feeling about the result and where that's put you in terms of your headspace.
I mean, I think big picture, we are a really good team. And we're trying to do the hardest thing, which is going from good to actually winning things. I mean, talking about really fine margins.
Yes.
So, I think everyone is frustrated, and how they communicate that is different. But I think we all feel the same thing because we're really, really close. And we all kind of, I think, see what we need to do, and it feels like we're just coming up short. So
it does feel that, doesn't it? It feels like we can see what needs to happen as fans to a degree, and we are perplexed as to why that's not happening.
Yeah, and then people communicate that in different ways. But I think, but I think ultimately we all want the same thing. So, yeah, that's sort of where my head's at. And I think the really interesting thing is, if you went back a year ago after the Liverpool Cup game, and you had if you had a call-in show, I think it would be very similar. A year ago, everyone's like, we don't put the ball in the back of the net. We need Tony, we needed this, we need that.
Yeah.
We were playing horseshoe football, blah, blah, blah. and then obviously second half of the season, we were absolutely excellent.
Yeah.
And part of that was due to the form of Havertz, ironically. You know, we moved him up top, and for that second half of the season, he put in sort of Haaland-esque performances in terms of numbers. I think, unfortunately, that form might have partly influenced our inactivity in the market. And I think we might have rested on our laurels a little bit regarding Kai as the forward. And it's not a slight on him. I think he's great, but he's not an elite forward, really. I mean, I think we all knew that. And I think the club probably thought, you know, we found a solution that's working and we can do other things to improve the team while we have that. Yeah. And that might have been a mistake.
He's had this season. He's been, despite ironically beating our top scorer, below, you know, the expectations based upon what we saw in the second half of last season. You know, the second half of last season was very good. You know, 2 goals against Chelsea, goal against Burnley, goal against Newcastle, goal against Sheffield United, 2 assists in those last 2. Goal against Spurs away from home, and assist in that game as well. Obviously, the winning goal in the last game of the season against Everton. Like, we expected more. You know, and I don't think that it's not disrespectful to have it's not overly critical. It doesn't take things too far to say that Arsenal need a centre forward that's going to take us to that next level. Just before I let you go, Josh, who for you is that? Who would it be? You can say you don't know, that's fine. But who would you go?
I think I view things a little bit differently to you.
Okay.
In that I'm not convinced that dropping huge money is a guarantee. And I think Arsenal, being Arsenal and knowing how they operate, I think they'll probably try and get players with huge upside and potential. And I think the profile of someone like Sesko, even if it's not him, I think that's more realistic.
Yeah.
I do think this year we've mainly been let down by the form of Trossard, Jesus, and Sterling.
Yeah.
And I think we need a refresh. And I think we need perhaps, you know, a couple of potential players. And then if there's headroom, maybe a name. But I can't really see it happening. That's
I think you raise a good point. Sorry, Josh. I think you raise a really good point in Sesko as an option. I think there's an associated risk with him. He has scored actually in his last 4 successive matches. I was just looking at his numbers earlier. So I've got my concerns about Sesko because I'm not sure if he's the guy. It'd be a risk. But if you're getting him for like 50 million, maybe that's worth it. But I'm not sure whether you do. Gyökeres for me is the most accessible kind of sure bet I've got on a goal scorer. But whoever you sign, there's going to be associated risk and also challenge. They're coming into a different team, a different league most of the time, a different system under a new coach and of different players around them. So there is going to be an element of risk in any case. We've structured the right one. Josh, it's been a pleasure. Final words before you let go?
No. The only thing I'd say is Arsenal have not gambled on enough volume in the forward areas. We haven't signed enough forwards. And they're not all going to work. But if you have options, you will get one that will. And I just think we need to bolster that area in numbers and quality.
Yeah, I think you're right. Quality being the key word, and numbers I think will come second to that, but still very important as well. Josh, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Enjoy yourself. Lovely stuff. We've got 3 more calls to get through, and then I'll actually be able to get through everybody, which is fantastic. I've closed the queue now, so if you're not in the background, it's because, because I've removed the link. So we're going to get 3 more people on. Benny, who has been waiting a very long time, is coming on next. How you doing, Benny? You all right?
Hello, Tom. Can you hear me?
I can indeed. Sorry for your long wait. I appreciate your patience.
Thank you. Thank you very much. First of all, I have to say good job on having this on for almost 2 hours. And
2 hours 15 now, mate.
2 hours 15. So yeah, please, guys, in the chat, there are like more than 600 of you. At least give the show some likes, show Tom some love. At least he's been on here for a long time, and people having a go at him in all sorts of places, telling him that he doesn't know how to manage the queue and blah, blah, blah. So please do give him some.
Thanks, Benny. Anyway, let's talk about Arsenal.
Okay. So about Arsenal. First of all, I have to say, I have my points written down just in case I came on. But I condemn the abuse to Kai. I don't understand what some of the Arsenal fans, I am assuming they were Arsenal fans, are trying to achieve from having a go at his baby, having a go at his wife, because this is the same Kai Havertz that needs to get himself up for Wednesday, because he's our only recognized striker now. And we have to win the North London derby. Or I'm assuming I'm assuming as an Arsenal fan, we want to beat Spurs at the Emirates. We are at the Emirates, right? Or we're at Spurs? No, we are.
We're the Emirates. Yeah, we're the Emirates.
And this same Kai Havertz now has to lift himself up and lead our forward line to beat Spurs. And it's going to be, what they call it, another earthquake if this doesn't happen. Now, that being said, I'm just going to my other points. We have other players that are so off form as well that have not been targeted. Odegaard has been, this season, it's like the Odegaard of last season and the Odegaard of this season. They are 2 different people. Like I don't know what's going on in his head, but he has been like he has dropped below his standards. Martinelli, I think we've had arguments about Martinelli. He can't pass a 40-year-old right back in Ashley Young, and he doesn't seem to be able to get what he could dribble past any of the fullbacks he goes against. So Martinelli is another one. Trossard is.
I thought he was all right yesterday, Mark. I thought if anything, he was our most, other than Odegaard, the most.
To be fair, I think him and Sterling were our most productive players. But
well, I mean, Odegaard had more than 3 XA. Like he produced a huge number of chances that should have been taken.
To be fair, Tom, I'm going to push back a bit because we know what these guys were capable of, and we've seen them at their best. And unfortunately, they have not been at that best. I've seen Martinelli score 16 goals a season? At one point.
15, yeah. I think
now he's at 5 league goals the whole season. Like Havertz is our top striker. Our top striker, according to the stats, is Havertz. He's the one that has banged in the most goals. And yes, he's lost a lot of chances, but it doesn't seem anybody in the team is capable of putting the ball in the back of the net apart from him. So there's a problem there. Even Jesus, I don't think I was surprised, because Jesus is a player that in short bursts he goes on a good scoring run and then he goes off the ball. Either he becomes injured and then it takes like ages for him to get back to this goal scoring form, or he doesn't get back to it. So I know it's hard to blame him because he got injured yesterday, but I'm not surprised at anything Jesus done. He's been like his whole Arsenal career, most of his Arsenal career, he's been a disappointment. Then one more thing I was gonna go into, 2 more things. Sorry, Harry Simeon said it yesterday. Like I think the board also has some part to blame, where you can't tell me, he said this like so eloquently, you can't tell me of all the strikers or all the forward players available to us in the summer, we decided that Raheem Sterling was the best option. Of all the players out there, we took a Raheem Sterling or no, yet you can't tell me that this was Arteta's like first choice. He was like, because he doesn't even play Sterling. Although Sterling did do well yesterday, recency bias. But like for any time Sterling has come on, it's been a nightmare. And even if I was the manager, I wouldn't play him. But yesterday he did improve. But most of the matches I've seen Sterling, I haven't seen anything. And then I feel so bad for Gabriel yesterday. For him to score a goal when he's a defender, he had to defend. United had like 1 or 2 chances and they took them. And seeing our strikers or our 4 players lose so many chances to score, he must have been at the other end of the pitch, like, what, I score a goal for these guys and they can't even put a ball in the back of the net. Because law of averages, I used to play football. The opposing team, no matter how shit they are going to get at least 1 or 2 chances. Sorry.
You're fine. I knew getting you on the show is always a risk.
They're always going to get one or two chances.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. And then I guess one of my last points before if you have anything to come in,
sure, yeah.
Come in. I think the way Arteta is playing now, our midfielders are just hiding because the defensive line seems to push up so high, and then you have the defenders kind of passing the ball between themselves, and they like. I saw Saliba having the ball in the Man United's in the Man United's half, passing it to Gabriel, passing it to the left back. But then I'm like, the defenders can't create any of these eye-opening passes. The midfielders need to take the ball off them. So why are we leaving it to the defenders having so much possession when Arsenal are playing? Because they are not going to do those eye-opening passes that we need. So I'm sorry, but I think our midfielders, a lot of our midfielders, especially the center ones, Odegaard, Mourinho, not Rice because he does try, but a lot of them are just hiding. So I would really like the defensive line to kind of pull back and at least the midfielders to collect the ball from the defensive line and try and kind of initiate, instead of defenders having to initiate the attack, because and some of the viewers kind of have alluded to it, is boring having Saliba have the ball, then to Gabriel, then to Raya, then to Miles Lewis-Kelly, then to Timber. These are guys that can't create passes. We need the midfielders to come, take the ball, and kind of penetrate the opponents. Pardon the pun there. That's about it with my points, really. That's all I have.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I think that first of all, fair play for condemning the Havertz stuff. That was important. I think that where we're going, the bigger picture for me of Arsenal was always going to be that I think when you look at where Arsenal were and where they are now, the progress is obvious. Like it's so obvious, it's not even arguable, the progression that we've had, and that we're in this phase now where obviously expectations have changed. Because before it was about must get into the Champions League again, must start competing, and now it's must start winning, those titles. It's about how do we go from competing to winning? Do we have enough in this current squad to win the title? I think you're right to shake your head because I don't think yet we do have enough. And that is in part because of the players we are missing in Bukayo Saka. Obviously, I think as soon as Saka gets injured for half a season, if Liverpool lose Salah for half a season, like Man City have lost Rodri for the season, the impact is inevitable. It doesn't matter how much money you have spent. When you lose a player of that level, the likelihood of you winning the title is slashed, like just inevitably. Doesn't matter how good your preparation and squad building is, you're never going to realistically be able to sign a player that's going to be deputising efficiently Rodri, Salah, Saka. It just doesn't happen. And so Arsenal's mission has to be for the rest of this season is address the deficiencies that we can address now, that is feasible to address now, so that this season isn't a waste, because you've still got a chance. Champions League football offers you two-legged affairs where we look, and I know we lost in the cup yesterday, but we should have won. We all know we should have won yesterday. Across two legs, there is, and there should be more confidence in this side, but we have to address our shortcomings now. And we also absolutely have to try and make it so that we aren't getting so, because the reaction yesterday I'm worried about, considering the most important game for many is always a North London derby that we've got on Wednesday. Havertz is the guy, as I think you said, Benny, that's going to be lining up on Wednesday in the centre forward position, because we don't have anyone right now. Off the back of his wife getting abuse, off the back of him getting abuse, and we're expecting him to turn in and put in the most amazing performance ever. There is a hypocrisy there. So we need to see action. We need to see ambition now, and definitely more so in the summer, of course. But I think, Benny, just where I'm at with what a lot of you said is I feel like a lot of the context continues to still be very much ignored by people.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think there's one other point. I guess in I don't know. I like Havertz. I like how hard he works. Obviously, his finishing is not of Arsenal quality, but I would think he would be a good like second striker for a lot of teams. I definitely think we should buy a lethal finisher this summer. Like, well, I thought we should have bought him before. I thought we should have planned for these things, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. We have the squad we have now, and I guess we can only comment on what the team looks like at the moment. And at the moment, like you said, the team is not good. The team, unfortunately, is not good enough. I would say. I like last time I was on here, and I know we kind of went back and forth. I was in the kind of zone of, is Arteta the man to take us to the promised land? My thoughts have still not kind of moved over from then. I still don't think he is, but I think the board can do as much as possible to help him, because in my mind, from what we are doing, from what I'm seeing, I don't think they are backing him 100%. I still don't believe that. Like I said, Raheem Sterling was the best forward option, even on loan at last summer. We could have definitely had a lot better. And then in terms of what you said about contingencies, I think Liverpool, they have, I don't know how they've done this, but they seem to have all these options that we don't have. So I'm like, if you remove one player from Liverpool, it seems like another attacking player comes in. Whereas my team, if I remove Saka, it looks like the next option is like a championship option, because it's just not good enough. So I don't know whether it's the scouting, or I don't know whether the players are good enough, but they are just all off form. And I believe they are all off form because these players have shown us in the past that they are good enough. Trossard used to be like
17 goals last season.
Yeah, best utility player out there. Martinelli has shown it before. Odegaard, we know what Odegaard is capable of, but none of them have. Like, I hope they all. I know Havertz has got the cup of the abuse this season, but I hope all of those midfielders, all of them, Odegaard, I mentioned all of them, have a look at themselves in the mirror and ask themselves, have I been good enough to my usual standard? Have I been Arsenal quality? Because at the moment, I'm not seeing it from any of them.
I think I struggle to disagree with you, because I think there's two pathways. One is you get rid of the coach. That's one pathway. You get rid of the coach, you bring somebody else in. The other option, the other pathway is you back him. And when I say back him, I don't mean in terms of saying he needs to stay. I mean financially you back him. I mean you go and get Arteta what he feels he needs to take Arsenal. Currently I'm on that pathway at the moment. I think that I'd rather back this guy than gamble on a different guy, is where my head's at. I'm not saying it's always going to be there, because as soon as I see evidence suggest that shouldn't be the case, then I will respectfully change my mind on that, as we are all entitled to do. I get very frustrated with people who think supporting the coach is almost like supporting Arsenal. It's not. You support Arsenal as your team. But you don't ever change, as you saw, sadly, we had fans, and I read the comment out earlier, some fans feel they're going to change team if we don't sign anybody this January, which is nuts. But you support your team. The manager, yes, you back them and hope that they succeed, and you should hope that they should always succeed, but you can have an opinion that will change back and forth depending upon the evidence that you get as to whether or not they should be the man to lead you forwards. So right now, I'm of what I have seen in the games, even just these last 2 games. In my opinion, Arsenal should have won against Newcastle with the chances that we created. Last night, we should have won based upon the chances that we created, and we didn't. When you look at managers that have been sacked by top-level clubs, when you look at the most recent example in the case of Erik ten Hag, Man United were getting dominated by sides. Man United were being comfortably beaten. They weren't deserving of the games that they played. And so that's why they got rid of him. So that's where I am at in terms of managers, and that's where I'm at in terms of my pathway. Benny,
one more point. Tom.
Go quickly. Go on.
One more point. I think I just when you made the Man United comparison, there's a point that just came to my head. Actually, I think both of us will understand this. We are from eras where Man United were so dominant, and they were one of the teams we couldn't get past. So it hurt double as much not to beat them yesterday, and I'm sure that even hurt you, because I remember the times when I was growing up, it was always Man United, Beckham, Giggs, blah 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 blah, and now they come to our house and they literally were like the smaller team. Like I'm like, I saw Man United fans on my timeline crying and shouting and like, oh blah blah blah, but I was like, there were times when in the past when Man United would come to the not Emirates, our former house, I can't remember the stadium, that stadium, and would dominate us. And now it was like we were playing Ipswich yesterday. They were just all in defense. So I'm happy how far we've come, but like every Arsenal fan, even if my opinion might not be as like the dominant Arsenal fans, I still want to win. I still want to win something. And I'm sure the same is for you and every other Arsenal fan. So when guys in the chat, I think we should be civil. Everybody has different opinions, but we still want to win trophies. Okay?
Absolutely.
So please be respectful to each other.
Benny, nice message to finish that off. Thank you for your time, mate. I appreciate it. Thanks, mate. Lovely stuff. 2 more calls, and then we're done. Daniel is up next. Thank you for your patience, mate.
Yeah, no problem at all. And fair play to you for going just over 2.5 hours now.
We move. We keep going. I'm willing to place a reasonably sized bet that you're frustrated with Arsenal at the moment. Are you not?
No, I'm just detaching.
Okay, that's okay. Detaching can be good.
Yes, I was upset with the result yesterday, and well, to be fair, the Newcastle game I didn't watch really because I was at my local team watching them, and they got pumped 3-0 at home. I was like brilliant. Then I saw the stats and thought, oh, for God's sake.
Yeah.
But no, a couple of things that I want to well, firstly, I want to condemn everything that's been said to Havertz's wife, who's having a baby, because that's I can't even comprehend. That's why I hate social media, because you wouldn't dream of saying that to their face. You wouldn't dream of it.
No, of course not. Of course not.
And also,
that happens in all walks of life. That happens whether it's
it's
abuse to players, the manager, whether it's people in the chat box. I mean, the phone-in show is literally an example of that. The people who give you so much crap in a chat box, they're not here. You know.
And just a thing, as some people weren't happy with not being put.
Oh, don't worry about it, Daniel. Don't worry about that. Just move on from that. We don't need to worry about it.
No, but I just want to say, boohoo. I would rather you have new voices on so people can get their voices heard. Sure. But but back to Arsenal. It's if it wasn't evident, we needed not just a striker, a finisher. Like, if it wasn't evident before then, it is now. It is now. But yeah, no, just like yesterday was the first game that I actually properly watched us play. Sorry about that there.
Okay.
Because lately it's just become boring,
sure,
predictable, and I'd rather do other things with my time than watch us play sometimes.
I empathise with that.
And that's like that's the harsh
reality.
Yeah. Thank you. So, and with every disappointing result, it's becoming easier to detach and not get as animated and angry. But also, I also want to promote something just before I leave. If that's all right. Like it's nothing to, like I don't make any money from it at all.
Okay, you're concerning me, Daniel.
But like it's to do with mental health.
Okay, cool. Talk to me.
It's called Andy's Man Club. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Okay.
It's basically like where guys can come together and have chats. Like there's there's 5 questions. Not going to go through now because I don't have time.
I'm on the website right now. It looks like a really good thing.
Yeah. But they also have online groups. And it's mainly like just for UK. Like I don't know.
Yeah, it's a UK website, so I imagine it is just the UK. Yeah.
But yeah, no, groups run from 7 till 9, up and down the UK.
Yeah.
Like I attend the online sessions every week, and
Brilliant.
like it's just so that men can come
and talk about their honest problems.
Feelings, problems, like whatever they've got, and no, it's not just football. like just want to put that out there. Like it isn't a football thing. It's just like like you know what I mean. Like it's just for like guys coming together, like sharing like what's going on with their lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I think you raised a good point. I've left a link to it in the chat box. If you want to go and check it out, you can.
But no, it's just becoming easier to detach because we're not strong enough to win the league.
Yeah.
The Carabao Cup, League Cup. I'll probably get crucified, but I'm not. I'm not fussed about it.
I know that a lot of people aren't fussed about it, Daniel. You're not the only one who's not. The Carabao Cup, when anyone else wins it, it's meh. When we win it, it's great. Like, but you know, it's not the be all and end all for a lot of people.
I would be meh if we won it as well. But yeah, and Champions League, we're not good enough.
Not at the moment, we're not.
Well, we're not strong enough. And key players missing. Rice,
Saka.
White, Saka.
Now Jesus. Something we've not had. Odegaard's been ill, unfit. Yeah.
Like, and something's not right. Something at the club is not right. I don't know.
In terms of like the frequency of injuries, do you mean?
Yeah.
Okay. It's one of those impossible mysteries. Yeah.
Well, maybe something else off the pitch as well. Like maybe there's something there. But if we really do want to challenge for the title, sign a striker. Like above all else, sign a striker. Spend big if we have to. We probably can't, but I would break the bank at this point if we were to even try to win the title. But no, I'll leave you with that.
Say it like I'll leave now. I'll leave you to it. No, Daniel, you've been fantastic. I really appreciate your call and your patience, as you said.
No problem.
Thank you, mate. Speak to you soon. Lovely stuff. Thank you, Dan. Just another word on that mental health awareness group that Daniel was mentioning, Andy's manclub.co.uk online. It's a men's suicide prevention charity offering free to attend peer-to-peer support groups across the United Kingdom and online. We want to end the stigma surrounding men's mental health and help men through the power of conversation. Of course, you may or may not be aware that the biggest killer of young men here in the UK is suicide. And of course, if any of the conversations we've had have in any way triggered you, please do seek the support that is required. But a very good cause indeed. Let's finish off the show with our third Australian brother today, TJR. How you doing, mate? You good, Joel?
Oh, just keeping it light, Tom. You know, I thought I'd,
keeping it light.
Yeah, start with a joke. How about this?
Oh God,
I'd love a firing. Would you like to hear who I'd fire?
Who'd you fire, mate?
I'd like to fire, or at least lay off for a few weeks, because I think he put in a pretty average performance. Peter Majuzzi, the DJ at Arsenal.
What's Peter done wrong?
Oh, he's playing some absolute filthy songs, going into a penalty shootout.
Peter, if you want it, I'm sorry.
And then everybody wants to rule the world after we've lost a penalty shootout.
I did hear that. To be fair, that is a very normal. So I think there's enough. I think there must be like an accepted list of songs you can play when we lose or draw. Yeah,
it'd go through, you know, all the lawyers that run the club, all the risk-averse lawyers, which is something I'll probably get onto. But yeah. That was rough. You know, the wrestling themes I'm fine with. Out of
to be honest, I think Peter's in a very tough position when it comes to music you play when we lose. Like, what
exactly?
You don't leave it in silence, do you? You
gotta
try and drown out
trombone
the
or exactly.
Yeah, wah.
Some soft jazz. Oh, mate. Yeah, I'm all right. I hope you're well, Tom. And I won't go on for too long in this marathon sesh. Anyway, all the trolling stuff, that's rubbish. But, you know, I'm off all that anyway. Musk is, you know, he's the manager of that. And the manager says a lot about the standards that they set for the platform, which is all I have to say about that. Arsenal, the issues are attacking third efficiency. Everyone pretty much knows that. And you can fix that two ways, probably. You can either create more chances, which means throwing everything against the wall, which Arteta's probably not going to do, or finding more clinical finishes. That's pretty straightforward. Like, I think everyone who watches Arsenal knows that's sort of, we've been in need of a signing since Nketiah was not it, it's been a while. The thing I'm looking out for with the club is who are we going to be, what leaked, name is coming out to distract people in the next week and a bit. Is it going to be Jesus' scans? Is it going to be Saka giving a thumbs up? Or is it going to be some nonsense from Italy or, Marsa, one of those sites that are like, we'll take this person for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a bit more footballer director talk. So maybe if Ornstein can have a chat to Thomas Rosicky or Roberto Olabe or whoever, he can Skype. That'd be a great distraction. I'd love him to get a bit onto that. Jason Ato seems like he's about to get scapegoated no matter what happens. That's sort of my general thing there, because Arteta is part of the chain of command, and it's not like he's doing nothing, but you've got to, like with the music, you've got to approve everything. And the Cronkies are, risk averse. There's lawyers, again, they're risk averse. Arteta's a risk adverse kind of guy, sort of.
Yeah, I think he tries to limit the amount of risk. So I think the risk averse would probably be a very fair description.
And some people think maybe that's arrogance, but I think that's just him trying to exhaust every single option that he has until he has to do something. Maybe that's, whatever. And I think he's the same with the youth sort of stuff. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing the young kid Butler Oladeji. Yeah. He's an okay finisher from what I've seen, but he's a bit small and he's not a number 9. But
I would have banked him to score a chance over Havertz yesterday based on what we were seeing. Yeah.
It's more you know, the list is longer the other way than. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say here.
I do.
And Cabby is also a tiny winger who's quick and fast. We might see him if Sterling, you know, pops a hamstring or something. Who knows, mate? I'd like Sesko. I think his high side is huge. I think he's probably got the ceiling to be top 5 striker in the world at some point. Whether he does that is up to a whole bunch of things. Development is not linear sometimes. Red Bull systems, he seems to have his head sort of switched on, going down a Haaland philosophy, if that makes sense. And also with Slovenia, he isn't the, you know, Billy Big Bollocks there. He just wants the team to do well. He wants every team that he does, you know, not to play around him, but to play. I'm trying not to say play with him, but you get what I'm trying to say.
You have. Yeah. You've said it now.
Yeah. Well, I was slow rolling. It's been a long day, mate. As you know. Osman's probably too much money, but I think he's elite heading the ball and pressing. So if Arteta thinks he can solve things that way, I don't think he'll do it. I think it would be good if he did, but I don't think that's going to happen. Gyökeres won't happen until the release clause is lowered, whenever that happens.
I don't think it's lowered. It's just there's suggestions that Sporting might accept lower than the release clause in the summer, but I don't know why.
Is it written into the language that he's got its first refusal for something, and also that he,
you know, more than me,
because he doesn't get a cut. Coventry get a cut of whatever the thing. So I think their percentage goes down, and therefore his
Sporting bought out Coventry's sell-on clause.
Okay. Well, forget
so
what I said
to my knowledge, they bought out the sell-on clause. So I don't think Coventry get anything.
Okay.
Now.
Fair enough. And the one I'd go for, but it involves a whole lot of wacky stuff. You know, probably involve Neto being cut and given back. Evan Ferguson would be the one that I'd go for short term on the loan, because he's barely playing at Brighton. He doesn't look fit. He'd fit in with the rest of our team, you know. I think he's a brilliant box crasher, and when he's sort of 1v1 with the keeper or defender, he can be very good, and he can find form, and that's kind of all we need off the bench. We need someone who can finish in close, sort of, and outpower people and finish the easier chances, because Havertz is going to play, and it's a relief sort of thing. I like Zagrovia at Lille for a cheap wing option. I think he's a real exciting player, but he also has shades of Pepe, where he gets a bit selfish and dribbles into mazes and then flips around and does fun stuff. But he had an amazing game against Real Madrid, which was fun. Or then we go to Lyon for Malek Fofana or Ernest Nuema, and they'll be nothing. So there's my full roundup. You know, I thought I'd try and play the pace fairly quick. Give you some time.
I think you smashed it, mate. I think you did really well.
No worries.
I think you covered a lot of topics in a short amount of time, and still managed to say some funny words along the way as well, which I always appreciate. I think the listeners have appreciated the lighter end to today's phone.
Yeah.
Thank you for your patience, mate. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Have a good one, Tom. Thanks for doing all this.
Of course, no problem at all. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye. There we go. We got everyone on, buzzing. That's a long one. 2 hours, 47 minutes. Oh, dearie me. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've appreciated it. I hope that you come back tomorrow. Hold on. Are we doing it tomorrow? Let me double check. I need to check when the presser is. Let me just check quickly. No. Oh, I'm going to have to pre-record something. I'll have to find a guest a little bit later on today, because there is a press conference early tomorrow, so I will not be here for the usual 8 a.m. show. Although I've given you 3 hours, I could just say that this is enough for you for days. But there's a press conference early tomorrow, so I will not be here for the usual 8 a.m. show, because I'll be at the presser. But I will endeavour to pre-record something for you to go out. So there's something, of course, still for you tomorrow morning. But yes, we have been going for nearly 3 hours. It's going to be a joy trying to download the audio for this to upload. That's going to be fun. So listening to everyone has been great. Again, a massive apologies that some people did dip out earlier on that were in the queue, of course, because I wanted to kind of prioritize, as I said, I did say this after the first call, some new voices. Some people were very, very patient, and as you saw, the likes of Benny, TJR, Dan, and Josh, also who'd been on, from the start, were very patient. Also managed to get on towards the end. So thank you to everyone that had that did manage to jump on, and thank you to all the new voices as well. It's always great to hear, and obviously there is always the caveat and the elephant in the room. There's a lot of people in the chat box that were very vocal, but for some reason didn't take up the opportunity to come on the show. So it was always there, but the opportunity was not there apparently enough. But have a brilliant Monday. I will again highlight what Dan said. If indeed you are a man and are indeed of some mental health support, that Andy's Man Club looks like a really good cause as well. And if you're not, there are of course plenty of other mental health charities, supporter groups, and organizations that are there to help you if you need it. Some people take this stuff not very seriously at all. We take it very seriously because I know how trying football can be on the mind. I've learned to detach these days, and as I always bring this up, it's been an absolute blessing to be able to do so, get other interests, make friends, and find other avenues to enjoy life, because it's not just football. It really, really isn't. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay well, stay happy and respectful. And as always, up the Arsenal.